And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another edition of the Hispanic Star League, the HSL Group D. I'm of course your host, VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in chat, by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all to our fourth group. Here we go. We have been working through the group stage of the HSL. The HSL is the Hispanic Star League. It is essentially GSL, but for the Spanish-speaking community here, including Latino America, as well as the land of Spain. And it's been a great initiative. Again, a big shout out to the Spanish content creators, to Bon, to Enki, to Protocito, and many others for coming together, for crowdfunding the event, and for making this event a reality. And so far, it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun seeing some otherwise retired players return to the game and compete once again amongst each other in the Latin American scene. It's been a blast from the past, and that continues to be the case here tonight as well. Let's go. So as scene's over, we do have our group. We're going to be covering Group D. Yesterday we covered Group C. The day before that we covered Group A and B as well. We are slowly going through all the groups, slowly going through the group stage. And as you can see here, we have 4 matches ahead of us. It's going to be an intense group here, as we are going to be featuring some otherwise old school players and some modern ones as well. We're going to be featuring Bombilla up against Tiny Host in the first round in a TVZ, LucianO versus Bombilla, Mute versus Bombilla, and Mute versus LucianO. Here we go. Again, Mute is more of a modern, more of a recent addition to the pro scene. He did recently start competing, I want to say last year, like 2024 is when Mute did hit the scene. Before that, LucianO, also a little bit more modern, also a little bit newer here. Bombilla, though, has not competed in many years. Last time he was probably competing was like, I want to say 2022. So it's been like 3 years. It's been around 3, maybe even more than that years since Bombilla has probably competed in StarCraft in a tournament. So I'm happy to see Bombilla return. I was surprised. I saw the bracket, I saw Bombilla's name. I was like, hold on. I was like, hold up. What's going on? Where did he come from? He's back, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how he compares to some of these other players that have been competing in recent times. Again, Bombilla, don't think is the most active player anymore, of course. And how does he compare to LucianO and Mute? We'll find out. We will find out. Meanwhile, shout out to those in the chat. I see Psychons, I see Getia as well. I see Matt. Bienvenidos. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Good to see you all. And again, we have 4 matches here tonight. The group is round robin, so everyone plays against everyone. But we won't be going over every single match exactly. Just a couple of highlights here from Group D as we work our way through the group stage. Of course, next week going to be featuring Group E, as well as F, as well as G, and wrapping up whatever we can. The group stage currently is still underway. The group stage is still underway, so there's still a lot of matches to be played, still a lot to be covered. So we might have to wait a little bit until some of the groups wrap up before jumping into the cast. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. We'll see which matches we do jump into. For the time being that we have our first series, it's going to be that ZVT. We're jumping into El Dorado here between Bombilla and Tiny House. Let's go. Let us go. Also, buenos dias. Hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. Hope you've all had a great day and a great week as well. Of course, we just woke up. Last night we were casting the Rex March Madness. Now we're here with them HSL, and here we go. This morning in the bottom left hand corner of El Dorado, we have the Peruvian Terran player himself, the Red Terran, representing Imba Force. It's been a while since I've seen that team. It is Bombilla. And this morning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the Peruvian Zerg player, the purple Zerg. It is Tiny House. Here we go. We are jumping into our TVZ again. Tiny House is a player that I'm not too familiar with, more of an amateur player instead, but we'll see how he compares to Bombilla. Again, Bombilla is a veteran of the scene, has been competing for many years, but of course did retire many years ago, did step away from StarCraft, did step away from competing. So nowadays, how does he compare? What kind of form is he in? That's what I'm really curious by. Let's find out. Let us find out. So now the SCV does poke in. Thanos going for his own standard opener, hatch, gas pool. So far, everything looking normal from our side of the Zerg player. Likewise, Bombilla. I do recall casting Bombilla playing mech many years ago. I do know that that was something that occurred at a point, and that could also be the case here. Mech is still very much so viable. You know, the Cyclone back in full swing is once again a little bit more very robust unit. Getting into battle mech, of course. Don't know if Bombilla is willing to embrace that or calm things down and get into bio instead. We'll see. So just send things up on our end, make sure everything is looking as it should. Also, later on tonight, of course, we're going to be live with the Pondcast. So we have two broadcasts today. We have the HSL alongside the Pondcast. I do still have to catch up on some interviews, is what I will say. So that's going to be my goal after the stream. I know that I did ladder yesterday, but I did stream yesterday, but not today. Gotta catch up. Oh. As now, Reaper dips in, dances with the Lings. No major damage yet, going for the drone, and Tiny Host shouldn't lose anything here, just trying to buy time for the Queen, but the Queen is a little bit more delayed, and this Reaper may indeed get a drone. This is getting a bit out of hand early on. This should not have happened. There we go. Quick spore trick there out of Tiny Host. Does not lose anything. I mean, does lose 2 Lings, but does defend. Does defend in the end. So Tiny Hills punished a little bit here for being greedy for cutting corners. Typically you would open up 4 Lings and then you can kind of like poke in and pull away the weakened Lings and maintain your position, but Tiny Hills only made 2 Lings here instead, so he was punished, did lose both Lings. Thankfully though, didn't lose any drones, didn't lose any workers. We can see him mining through those gold mineral patches that are going to be expanding towards his opponent, towards Bombilla. Okay, bold move. Bold move out of Tiny House. Meanwhile, across the map, Bombilla is going to be going for a 1-1-1 into a starport. Very aggressive build here from Bombilla. Typically, we would be seeing a 3rd CC before starport, but here instead we have a straight up 1-1-1. This can lead into a Hellbat push. This can lead into Reactor to Hellion, into Armory, into a Hellbat push instead with a medevac to support. That's what I'm leaning towards. Otherwise, we would have seen a Tech Lab into an add-on swap into Banshee. The other option here is there you go, medevac's on the way. I was gonna say the other option is a Viking first into Fusion Core into BC. That would be another option here for Bombilla. Meanwhile, that's an insanely fast lair, but the lair gets scattered. Oh, the boys are being pulled. They shut down the reroll. Checking the vision here. Bombilla, he did scat the lair timing. This was a sub 4-minute lair. This could be for rushing into Tech, rushing into Muta. Spine Crawlers on the way. That's already a tell here, but we are going to be opening up Roach instead. Okay, Roaches. So fast lair means fast roach speed out of our Zerg player is building up into roaches, but the reality is what comes first, the Hellbat push. As we mentioned, there's the Armory. Armory is on the way. Seeing the 1-1-1, seeing the lack of Tech Lab on that starport did lead into Hellbats. Medevac, I believe, has already arrived, and the push is coming. The push is coming, and Tiny Hots, he has seen nothing. Roaches will help with the defense, but the Roaches are not ready yet. Likewise, he did scout the 1-1-1. He saw the lack of add-on as well. That is a tell, but as I mentioned, this could also be, I mean, he did see the medevac. Yeah, he saw the medevac. That is a tell. That is a sign of things to come. He needs Roaches as soon as possible. Needs to wall up. Hellions make their way across the map. Lings are in production. Baneling nest behind this. Oh, we're waiting for Lings, waiting for Banelings. We're not making any Roaches here. And here come the Hellbats. Hellbats, a Morphin that just barely spotted by Bombilla. There we go, second factory, so it is mech. Good thing we brought up mech earlier, as we did mention how Bombilla, he did play mech back in the day. Looks like it's going to be the case here as well. As Hellbats, a rock up. Sure, we have some transfuse, but there's only 3 queens. Only 3 queens. Hellbats, a break through that front door. The boys are being pulled. No! The boys are being pulled. Past the Hellbats. Banelings are on the way. We have 11 Roaches in production. Roaches, they will help, but they're still not done. Again, the Roach production was delayed. Likewise, Liberator here towards that 3rd base. Drone's going to be folding, and Tiny Host is being pulled apart. Meanwhile, Bombilla making his way into the mineral line. Does get caught out here by the Roaches. Banelings! Oh, they will crash in. And with that, the Roaches will clean this up. They will clean this up. They will shut this down, but the damage has been done. We have 1 full mineral line safe in the main base. What about the 3rd, though? Everything has gone down. 14 kills on this 1 Liberator. Likewise, Queens fell, workers as well. I'm afraid to look at the unit tab. It is how many? 15! 15 drones have fallen. We're not done. Yeah, we are not done. Getting even more economic damage. Liberator is not going to escape. Does fall towards the end. Another hellbat here towards the natural, denying more mining time. Oof. And back at home, what do we have? Going for an add-on swap, getting into mech, getting into Banshee production as well. Okay, so it's going to be a variation of battle mech. I mean, I say that, there's no cyclones. So tank, Hellion into Banshee. Bombilla is building up, and Bombilla is in a solid position. Is in a solid position here. On full 2-base saturation, soon getting his third on location as well. Bombilla, he's up 20 workers over his opponent. And Tiny Hoss from here has a ways to go. I would suggest from this point forward, it'd have to be an all-in. Like recovering and playing from behind in a mid to late game, in a macro game against mech is very, very difficult to pull off. You can try to like something that I could have seen here working is maybe like Aspire, right? Like after the defense, throw in an Aspire, get into Muta play, or cut worker production and go for the all-in, right? And maybe go for like a Nidus in between the bases. Especially on El Dorado, there are locations here that are barely outside of vision that are sometimes a little bit more awkward to get vision of, whether it's Nidus play, whether it's Swarm Host play, just something a little bit more out of the norm, because playing straight up and playing standard is going to be an uphill battle. Not going to be impossible. There's always chances that your opponent does mess up, that your opponent makes mistakes. There's a chance that Bombilla goes for Hellion runways, as we're seeing, and is inefficient and runs into the forces of his opponent. There's a chance that Bombilla moves out and gets caught unsieged. True. He gets caught unsieged in the center, and we do see Thanos taking a better fight. We can see Biles catching stacked up tanks. Like, there are definitely opportunities, but what I'm kind of alluding to here is also reliant on Bombilla making mistakes. As it's going to be three more drones getting roasted. So Bombilla with a strong start here, getting another 3 drones. Likewise, he also rescouts, also confirms researching here on the buildings, also confirming that we're committing into Roach Ravager, into Link Bane Roach Ravager. Likewise, a 4th CC's on the way, getting into a 5th base on location. I mean, this is how comfortable Bombilla is. He's getting into his 5th expansion, whereas Tiny Hoss is just now taking his 4th. The Zerg player, not just down a base against mech, which is a more cost-efficient army in every which way. This I like. We're going to be mining through those middle patches, and it's all or nothing for Tiny Hoss. Does open up the wall. Bombilla, he kind of spots this, but does he notice what's going on? That I'm not so sure of. Here we go. Yeah, he does notice, does try to rotate. Army's out of position. Roaches, they file in. But the tanks, they will siege. Banshees respond, and this army is going to be completely shut down. I appreciate opening up the attack path, and it was a cheeky move. But alas, yeah, the Roaches are going to be shut down. And that was the army. That was the army falling here. Now it's time for Bombilla to counterattack. Now, as we can see, these units are a little bit too thick. They can't quite squeeze through that front door, or that back door even. So Bombilla, he unsieges, rotates towards the subside. And here comes the main push. Tiny Hoss, he plummets in supply. He's got some saturation at the goal base. He's, again, got some roaches left over. Hive is on the way. With the Hive, we can get access to Vipers, to some spellcasters. Vipers specifically. Have a pump here, Bombilla. He's moving in. He's moving in, pushing into the natural. Roaches, they try to keep up. Nah, it's not good. No, not like this. As tank volleys are insane here in the back line. They take down the Roach Warren. Roaches, they get a decent concave here on the army. Lings, they come into support, and they will get on top of the Thor. But again, these tanks are getting so much value in the back line. We save the Thor as well. Hot pick up with the medevac. Oh my god, that's on what? 1 HP? It's crazy. And GG gets called. Bombilla will take game number 1. GG. It's like he never left, Bobby. It's like he never left. It's crazy. GG well played. Bombilla does take the first game. Whew, and we'll see how Tiny Horse will recover here. I'm most curious by, is Bombilla still playing mech every game? Yes, I've seen him play bio, I think, once before. In my memory, in my recollection, I still remember casting Bombilla late game on Death Aura, split map scenario, against another Zerg player and even against another Terran in TVT and TVZ. And mech was very prominent, very much so. So I'm curious if that continues to be the case here, as up next we're going to be loading into ley lines. Here we go. Yo, shout out to Turbo Quacker in the chat. Yo, we eating ramen? We eating... I have not had breakfast yet. I'm celoso. I'm celoso. Beautiful. As we're getting into our next game, getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have our Peruvian Terran player, the red Terran representing Imba Force. It is Bombilla. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the purple Zerg player, also from the land of Peru. It is Tanios. Tanios. We'll figure it out. Ooh, as Bombilla opening up with a low ground 2-Rax Reaper. Looks like 2-Rax Reaper here out of Bombilla, which means it is not going to be a mech based opener, it's going to be a bio based opener instead. I say bio. 2-Rax Reaper typically leads into a 2-on-1 timing in the mid game with a stim timing. I'm assuming this is 2-Rax Reaper, but we'll see. Technically, this could be the Juanito, this could be the special build, which is Rax into factory on the low ground into 1-1-1. Which I have not seen in a year since last year. 100%. I have not seen this build this year yet, and yeah, there it is. It's going to be Rax into factory on the low ground. This is a build that Special Juanito did popularize, so I guess it makes sense that another Latin American player would also be doing it as well. There are other players that sprinkle it in. I've seen Gumiho do this. I think I might have seen Beyond do it once. I think I've seen Ryung do it, but typically it does constitute a certain kind of player to try to whip this out, as we should be seeing that factory on the low ground. Now, the purpose of this is that it does keep you relatively safe here on the low ground to run bys, because you wall off real fast and real quick. So early pool timings and early Ling aggression is a non-factor coming into the early game. The downside of this build here is that your production is exposed. If Bombilla was up against a Roach Ravager all-in, then the Roach Ravager all-in will be able to bile away and deny add-ons and deny the production, and make it actually quite difficult to actually defend, to build up forces, and it can be a really rough hold for the defending Terran player, specifically against all-ins, just because your production is exposed, right? It's just more exposed here on the low ground. So that is going to be an option to Tanios. Tanios does Overlord Scout, of course. He is aware of what's going on, is where the initial Reaper Hellion, and Bombilla should be expanding on the low ground. Once again, both Lings do go down. This time did make a 3rd and 4th Ling, but Tanios a little bit too cavalier with those Lings, did bleed them out early on. Likewise, Hellions on the way, another Reaper, and we are going for a 2nd Rax. So again, I assume this is going to be a 2-on-1 setup here, and we're kind of getting there, because that is a 2nd Rax on the high ground. Okay, not mech. Bombilla, he's got some builds. Has some builds here. Likewise, dips forward, going for the Queen. Queen taking a lot of hits already. 2nd Queen's on the way, just in time. Whew. Does pop out. The 3rd base is delayed for Tiny House, not for too much longer, but it is late. Yeah, it is a late expansion. Oh my god, we are rushing into a lair. Jesus. Really fast lair timing here out of Tanios. With this could be... Oh no, as the Queen goes down. That should not have happened. Brutal pickoff already. Spine Crawler on the way. Fast lair. This could be 2 AC Muta. We could be seeing gases being taken. Meanwhile, we do get a full scab. But yeah, he does see the lair is on the way. Again, this was like a 320 lair timing. It was an insanely fast lair. Even earlier than that. Meanwhile, the 2-on-1 is underway. I say 2-on-1, it's going to be a 3-Rax follow-up here. Late Starport, extra Marines. It's going to hit like a truck. That's going to be a little bio. Another gas being taken. Is this 2 base Muta? I mean, it shouldn't be 2 base because of the 3rd, but the 3rd is going to be denied. We're going to be forced on 2 bases. The other option here, we could be rushing into Hydras if we were... Oh, that was a cancel. If we were Miyamaika, then we could see like Hydra Tech early on. Technically, like Infestation bit Swarm Host, I guess, but now full gas. This should be Muta play. Reavers are diving. They confirm delay. They're looking for the tank. They're looking for the Spire. They're looking for the Spire. They get one. They get 2 drone kills already. 2 drones going down. Ooh, getting a 3rd drone. Getting a 4th. Oh god. Oh god. There's a Spire. There's a 2-base Muta. But I'll be honest, what hard counters 2-base Muta? I was gonna say a 2-1-1. But this is a 3 racks follow-up, and that is a lot of Marines, a lot of Stim, a lot of Bio. The reality is that Bombilla should strike before Mutas come into play. I say that, it looks like Bombilla might actually wait for his starport. Never mind. So Bombilla, he's going for the starport into most likely add-on swap into medevac production. Because he's waiting for his medevacs, that means that the Spire will complete. And we might see Tiny Horse buy time. He might be able to buy time. He might be able to counterattack. Bombilla, he confirmed the lair. He didn't see any tech. He did see the gases. So even though Bombilla didn't see the Spire, seeing all 4 gases and 2-base lair, I mean, it has to be Muta play. Like, I say it has, like, technically, again, it could be like Swarmhurst. It could be like Hydras, but that is very unorthodox. So, again, in Bombilla's mind, Mutas should be the first thing. And he should be feeling pretty good about this build. And here comes the push. Here comes the push. Medevac is going to be reinforcing across the map. Doesn't go for the add-on swaps, only 1 Medevac, which means Stim's going to be a little bit more brutal here, but Bombilla, he's moving out. He's going for the kill. He's going for the kill. We have 8 Mutas on the way. And again, the Mutas, they will do nothing defensively. Mutas are amazing to harass, but defending against these pushes, Mutas, they do nothing. And unfortunately, Tiny Horse, he did get a glimpse of the main base. He is somewhat aware of what's going on. Despite that, he has nothing to defend. 11 Mutas in production. Tanks have arrived. Going for the expansion. Going for the 3rd. 3rd base is going to fall. Yeah, he's just going for the kill. He's just going for the kill here. Mutas are going for a counterattack, trying to force the army back home, catching reinforcements. Lings, they file in. Oh god, but the queens go down. The spine crawler. Tanks are within range of the natural. And there's no defending against this. Like, there's no holding against this kind of army. I mean, Tiny Horse doesn't even have Link speed. Remember, he skipped it. He skipped Link speed. He's just now getting to Baneling speed. Mutas are wreaking havoc. I guess we're going full base trade. There are no drones out on the map, so what you see is what you get. Like, the army is not going to escape this. Go for the Balinus. Tanks, they siege up. Mutas across the map. They're getting more damage done, but they're trading against the Bio, trading against the Marines. Viking has arrived. And the Marines are going back home. We can just kill. We can just destroy the buildings. Like, we can calm down. Bombilla, send it. There we go. Start stepping forward. Going for the drones. Oh god, that's the workers. The boys are being pulled. They're going to try to escape, try to get out of here, but the tank volleys are brutal. Oh my god, the tank volleys takes down all the drones. And there we go. He's being revealed. There's 3 gas guys. There's 2 gas guys in the main base. There's 1 gas guy here at the natural. He's going for the buildings. GG gets called. And with that, Bombilla will take a 2-0 lead. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Bombilla does take a lead. Tiny Horse having a rough time here in game 2. Again, I appreciate the build. He was trying to rush into 2-base Muta, a very risky play style, very risky build. Unfortunately, he was up against a player that was going for a very strong stim timing. No 3rd CC, or 3rd CC was heavily delayed. Bombilla being hyper aggressive here, finding a lot of success. As a reminder, Bombilla, he also scouted the lair early on, so he knew that something was wrong. He knew that his opponent was being greedy, and he did decide to punish. Did have a good response. With that, Bombilla takes a lead, extends his lead, and now we're getting into game number 3. As a reminder, this is a best of 3, but all 3 matches are played regardless of score. We're getting into that 3rd game and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Whistles of Gold, we have the red Terran player representing Imba Force from the land of Peru. El Peruano. It is Bombilla. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the purple Zerg player, the purple Zerg player himself, having a rough time here in this series. We'll see if he can bounce back from the land of Peru. It is Tanios. Here we go. As we have had some varying builds so far in this series. Game 1, of course, we had Bombilla going into mech. Game 2, we had Bombilla going into a 3-rack stim timing here. Instead, we had Tanios playing Roaches in Game 1. In Game 2, we saw him going into 2-base Muta. Game 3, the hell's gonna go on? Already Rax on the high ground, right? Rax is on the high ground, so we have a more standard setup here. No crazy setup on the low ground. Not this time. Best of 3, yes. As a reminder, as we just mentioned, this is a best of 3, but all 3 games are played. Whether it's a 3-0 or a 2-1 scoreline, regardless of scores, all 3 games are going to be played. This is important when it comes to the groups, when it comes to the standings. Again, this is a round-robin group stage, so every map does count when it comes to distinguishing yourself from everyone else in the group, when it comes to making it out of that group stage. Likewise, in these groups there are 5 players in each group, and only top 2. Top 2 do make it out into the playoff brackets. We'll see who makes it. As we have a Rax Expand out of Bombilla. Does go for his Rax Expand. Reaper first into Bio, into Marine. Yet to be confirmed into Bio. Likewise, Tanios, Hatch Gas Pool, and we should soon be seeing a 3rd expansion from our Zerg player. Drone not quite in position. So for now, going to be on 2 bases. Going to be contained on 2 bases a little bit longer as well. Once again, Tanios does only make 2 lings, so once again, a bit of a greedier start. Does pull away. Buying time for the Queen. Drone's going to be under fire, and so far, Tanios, he should be able to... Oh no! The drone! Oh my god, first drone goes down. Nice pick up here by Bombilla. Very nicely done. We'll lose 1 worker. Bombilla, he gets away. Does pull away. Back across the map, get into his factory, into add-on swap, into Hellion production. So far, standard follow-up. We're waiting to see what happens from here. Oh, 1-1-1. This is looking similar to the game on El Dorado. I'll be honest, it's looking similar here. But this time Tech Lab. So Tech Lab is on the way, so this should be an add-on swap into Hellion Banshee. Should be seeing Hellion Banshee instead. Reaper dives in. He gets a scout. After what happened last game, after what happened with the fast lair timing, I don't blame the Reaper from diving in. So this time confirms there's no crazy early lair. Ooh, as the Reaper does fall. Let's go Citizen's Arrest. They shut down the Reaper. 3rd base not being taken. Now this is a late 3rd base. Ooh, and that is a very early Baneling Nest. After how this series has been progressing, yo, we're going for the Bane Bust. Bane Bust is on the way from Tanios. You would not get a Baneling Nest necessarily on without making use of it. Meanwhile, back at home, what do we have? We're getting into Cloak, yes, but Viking first. Huh. So Viking opener out of Bombilla. We'll hunt down the Overlords. We'll keep the Zerg player in the dark. But again, we're massing up Lings as we speak. Bombilla moves out with the Hellions. And he has to scout this. He has to confirm. Does check the natural. Just a couple of Lings here so far. Nothing too crazy. Does get us around. Yeah, nice pick up here. The Hellions, they overextend. Massive surround here on the Hellions. Back at home, what do we have to defend? We have 2 Hellions. 2 Hellions, soon to be 4. More Lings are on the way. Tanios, he's had enough. He's like, you know what? I've had enough here this series. This pinche Terran, baby. Let's go. Let's keep just going for the Bane Bust. Now, back at home, unfortunately, Bombilla didn't see anything. He did not see the Baneling Nest. He did see some Lings, but that wasn't really too much of a tell. He hasn't seen the amount of Lings that there really are, and he's taking into... yeah, Hellbats. It's going to be a Hellbat push. This is the same or a very similar build from what we saw on El Dorado. Is similar. Except, of course, with Banshee support, Bailing's gonna be rolling in, and Bombilla, he has to kite. He has to kite back. He has to make sure it doesn't get surrounded. And the wall is broken. Bombilla, he pulls away. Tiny Horse diving into the main. Nice heli volley so far. Doesn't want to get surrounded. Does pull away. There's still 3 Bailings left. The Bailings! Oh, they crash in. They crash in. They shut down the Hellions. Hellions go down. Boys are being pulled. And there's nothing left. There's 1 Viking. There's 1 Marine. Lings, they wreak havoc. SUVs are falling left and right. And it looks like Tiny Horse, has he done it? Has he broken through? Takes down the Bio. Takes down the Viking. There's that 1 Banshee on the high ground. The Hellion, oh, the Hellion. Oh, tries to pull away. Hellion falls. More Bailings waddling in. And this is becoming critical damage. Checking the unit count here. We're down to 16 SCVs. 14 workers left over. We have Hyperflight Rotors on the way, investing heavily here into those Banshees. Hellbats morph in. Bombilla, he will survive, but he's going to be stuck on 1 base. He's going to be stuck on 1 base. What's scary here is that, remember, Bombilla, he did not have a 3rd TC. He delayed his 3rd TC in favor of the Hellbat push, and the Hellbat push falls on its face. It does fall on its face. Behind this Tiny Horse, he can drone. He can chill, he can drone from here. I would love to see a Roach Warren. Right now, he's getting into more Ling. I was like, I like to see a Roach Warren and some droning. Instead, we're droning and we're going for another wave of Lingbane instead. Okay, let's go. Is getting ready for wave number 2. Going up against Hellbat, so it's not going to be easy to break this position. Yeah, as Lings, they try to avoid those Hellbats. Bailing's waddling in. We do see a last second split, not bad. Does split, does spread, but he will get surrounded. The Hellbats, they get completely reset, going for the eBay on the low ground. Denying the depot, trying to bust into the main. The boys are being pulled. And Bombilla, he will hold on to the main base just barely. Yeah, just barely. Oh, never mind. No repairs. No repairs, things, they barely slip in. Going for the SCVs. They get another 2. Barely another 2 SCVs go down. And behind this, there it is. Roach Warren's on the way. Hydra Den's on the way. We have Roach Hydra on the way from Tiny Horse, likewise getting a 4th expansion. The lack of spores is concerning. Remember, we have Banshees. We have Banshees. They have Cloak. They have Speed. They have Hyperflight Rotors. If these Banshees move out, right now there's not really much to defend. There is a lair, so there is access to detection, but getting some safety spores is a little bit more ideal. As there is comeback potential for Bombilla. I say comeback potential. I mean, he's still 1 base. He's still on a 1 base economy. 18 SCVs is still looking dire here for the Terran. Still is looking dire. Bombilla moving out. There's that. Oh gosh. I mean, we just spoke about it. No spore, no overseer means. I mean, sorry, there is 1 overseer, but it's across the map, which means drones are going to be going down. Drones are falling left and right. This should not have happened. These Banshees are going to be wreaking havoc. A lot of workers are going to be falling. No spore in the main base either. And Tiny Horse is going all in. He's going for the all in. He commits. He ignores the Banshees. Drones are still going down. And do we have enough at home to defend? That's a lot of roaches. There's a lot of roaches here. That's really only Hellbats to defend. Bailings, they smash in. Roaches, they break through that defensive line. Sure, there's a Banshee wreaking havoc, but boys are being pulled. They're going to be hunted down as well. And from here, Tiny Horse, he breaks the natural, pushing into the main base. Banshees, they race back home. They turn back around. But it is an uphill battle here from Bombilla. He's supply blocked, he can't make anything else. Just has the 1 Banshee on the way. Knocks down the depot. Supply blocking Bombilla even further. And Bombilla, he will still take the series. Oh, the Bailings! Bailings crash in. Bombilla will still take the series, but Tiny Horse, he does fight back. He does eventually put a point on the board. GG. GG. Again, he had enough. He had enough being the punching bag, dealing with the stim timing of game 2 or even the hellback push of game 1. Here, he took the initiative, did go for his own all-in, his own Bane bust, and he did catch Bombilla with his pants down. A lot of this was predicated off of the fact that Bombilla, he got his first Hellion surrounded. As a reminder, Bombilla, his first 4 Hellions did get surrounded at the natural. With that, he had that much less to defend, and he also failed to scout the follow-up, failed to scout the Bane bust. He did not know what was going on. That's why he had no bunkers, he had no secondary wall, he hadn't like pre-pulled the boys or anything. Like, he just was not ready because he didn't know what was coming. GG. GG, well played with that. Bombilla still takes the series, of course, but Tinios does put a point on the board. GG. Well played. GG, well played. Whew. As Tinios does take the game. And that leads us into our next matchup, into a TVT. And I hope you're ready to strap yourselves in, because this might be a long one here. Up next is going to be Bombilla versus LucianO. Now, coming into this, I do favor LucianO. LucianO has been more active for longer. What I mean by that is LucianO, I would say he's less experienced than Bombilla. That is true. Bombilla is a veteran, LucianO a little bit less so, but LucianO has been a more active player in recent times. He's been, over the past 2 years, I want to say very active when it comes to online open cups, when it comes to laddering, when it comes to competing. So LucianO, he is a more modern player compared to Bombilla, and we'll see how they compare in a TVT. I'll be honest, TVT has not changed much over the years. There was, of course, the Cyclone meta, which came and went. The addition of Ravens was also like early legacy as well. Like, TVT is still very much so positional based. There are certain builds that have risen up, like Banshees. Like, Banshee play in TVT is more trendy nowadays in like current meta. Likewise, sprinkling in 2-1-1s. But outside of like your more like quirky builds here and there, like the base, or the foundation I should say, of TVT is still quite consistent, which means I would say that this might be Bombilla's best matchup. Here we go, as we are getting into game number 1. Getting into game 1 and spawning in the top right hand corner of Ultra Love, we have our Chilean Terran player, the blue Terran. It is LucianO. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Terran player, the Peruvian Terran, representing Imperforce. It is Bombilla. Here we go. Ooh, oh my god, we're proxying. Before we get into this here, we do have the proxy 2 racks at LucianO, looking to reintroduce Bombilla to TVT. He's like, welcome back, old man. Let's go. As our Raxes are on the way, Bombilla behind this is setting up with a center opener. Does check though. Does SCV scout? He checks his third, he checks his fourth, and Bombilla, he will scout this well ahead of time. He forces the cancel as well. Ay, ay, ay. And Bombilla looking strong here in game 1. He does have the wherewithal to scout. He does force a cancel on the first rack. Second racks is still on the way. It's still going to be, I would imagine, a 2 racks opener here, but racks back at home instead. And this is just a rough start for LucianO. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this, as the plans are in disarray. And he will finish the racks at least. He will make a Reaper because he has to. But rough start. Very rough start here for LucianO. He has to pull away. He has to pull out. Reaper's in production. Reaper on the way for Bombilla. It is going to be double gas opener, going for a faster factory. And coming into this, Bombilla has a lead. Bombilla, he's in a better position here. Now, what does Bombilla have? Faster Hellion production. With this faster Hellion production, if he's able to kill this first Reaper, if he's able to shut it down, even then there's going to be a window in time where Bombilla can even counterattack and threaten his opponent. I'm really concerned for LucianO coming into this in the mirror matchup, especially. Oh no! Ooh, gets to the CV! Gets to the CV, trades 1 for 1. Ay, ay, ay. You know, Bombilla, he shoots first. Yeah, Bombilla, he does shoot first. Oof. Bombilla, he does take down the first Reaper. Brutal start here, LucianO. The racks got denied. The first Reaper goes down. LucianO, he is strictly behind in the worker, in the army count. He's behind in the army count. He's behind in the work count, behind in everything so far. Gonna be late when it comes to the Hellion. And this is just a very rough start here for Luciano. Yeah, he's racing back home. He has to. And what's scary here is that there is a massive period, there's a massive window where his Rax isn't doing anything. Like, the Rax is floating, the Rax is not producing. So straight up, Bombilla should have the army supply lead. He's gonna have a massive army supply lead. Once he deals with this Reaper, he can counterattack. Speaking of this Reaper, it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down. There's no escaping this. One more shot, and it will fall. And what are we working with? 0 army units. Luciano has 0 units right now. Bombilla, now is the time to counterattack, by the way, and he's moving out. He is pushing 2 Hellions, 3 Reapers, and we have a Cyclone on the way. The Cyclone will help. We have Magfield accelerators. I mean, the Cyclone is a very high-tech unit. It can hold its own. Getting to a second factory. Luciano, he's trying to get into mech, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah, there we go. Delay on the CC. Luciano, he already evacuated. And this Cyclone is not secure either. Bombilla, he can go for the dive. He can, and he will. Yeah, he's going for the dive. He'll lose 1 Reaper. Cyclone takes a lot of hits, takes a lot of damage. Bombilla, he commits. Oh, he will lose the Hellion. Hellion goes down. SCV is going to be falling. And he can just trade. He can just trade with the SCVs. Yeah, getting another worker and another. Oh, God. So from here, just focus down as many workers as he can. And that was how many? 5 SCVs going down. Luciano down almost 10 workers. His CC is still halfway done. Bombilla, it's already complete. And remember, this is all because of the failed proxy. Like, that just, it all came down to that. It all came down to the failed proxy. You can see just how difficult it is to recover. And this is why I appreciate that it's going to be mech. From the side of Luciano, getting into mech here, it does make sense. It is a way to bounce back in this game. What I will say is that, alas, because he's going mass Cyclone, the tank production here of Bombilla is still going to be superior, defensively at least. But Luciano, he has potential to bounce back. He has potential to just catch a couple of key units, to pick up a Cyclone, pick up a tank here and there, catch a Raven, catch a medevac. But the pressure is on Luciano. As he is making nothing but Cyclones, making 2 Cyclones at a time. A mass Cyclone, let's go. Likewise, oh, Luciano, he wants that Cyclone. He wants it. He's going to get it. Ooh, barely not the tank. Oh my God, the tank punishes. The range is crazy. Range is insane, trading 1 for 1. Luciano, he does fall back. Rebuilding his racks before he loses it. T making more factories. Bombilla trying to bait the Cyclone within tank range. Trying to bait him in. 3rd TC on the way. And looks like the game is going to slow down. Bombilla, he still is ahead. He still has a lead. He's up 10 workers. He's up in the tank count. Bombilla is still in a better position, but he is not pushing, he's expanding. And so is Luciano. So both players are expanding, both players building up into the mid game. Because this, again, there are going to be opportunities for Luciano, and I should emphasize that they are opportunities, and he has to take them. He has to take them whenever he can. Oh no! Oh, as he does get within tank range. Cyclone goes down. 2 Cyclones go down. We can't afford these missteps here. We can't afford these mistakes. As Bombilla getting to mech as well. Oof. Getting to his own mech. Mech versus... It's been a while. It's been a while, Bobby, but here we go. Mech versus mech. Strap yourselves in. I mean, I was fully prepared to stumble into this. 100%. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Meanwhile, Cyclones do catch 1 tank. Tank goes down. Not a bad pick-off here. Backfield still on the way for Bombilla. Likewise, Blue Flame on the way from LucianO. Now switching into tank Hellion production out of the Cyclones. I would say that this investment into Cyclones wasn't quite worth it here for LucianO. Had potential to pick up some key units, but failed to do so. Got one tank, yes, but traded out a lot of Cyclones. Did trade a lot of Cyclones. Raven harass across the map, catching out more SCVs. Oh my god. It's getting out of hand as we have more order turrets as well. We're still holding on to them, and GG gets called before we can get into the mid game. Too many losses, too much of a deficit, and Bombilla will take game number 1. Whew. GG, well played. A very rough position there for LucianO. I do not blame him for tapping out, even though there was no big battle, there was no major end fight. He was too far behind. It was just a very rough start, and as we saw, he was losing even more SCVs, so he was taking even greater deficits. Yes, there are ways to come back in TVT, there's ways to outposition, but there's only so much that you can do when you're that far behind. GG. GG, well played. Again, just a really rough start for LucianO, because as a reminder, it all began because of the scattered proxy. The scattered proxy was brutal, and from that moment onwards, he was playing from behind. And now we're getting into game number 2, and we'll see if LucianO can bounce back and actually get into his game and actually get into his TVT. As spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Amygdala, we have our Chilean Terran player, the Blue Terran, behind in the series, down in this matchup. We'll see if he can bounce back and make a series out of this. It is LucianO. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have the red Terran player, the red Terran himself, representing Imba Force, leading the series 1-0 from the land of Peru. It is Bombilla. We go. So far, Bombilla looking solid in that last game, but a lot of it also came down to the opener, came down to the early game. Just a very solid start from Bombilla, and from there did snowball out of control. Speaking of, after game 1, don't blame him, scatting. He checks the 3rd location, and he is checking the gold location as well. These are the more common proxy locations. What I will say is that this location here is another relatively common location, but so far Bombilla just checking all the standard locations first, and so far doesn't find anything, as there is nothing to scout. And he's checking this location as well. So it does check all the proxy locations. Oh, geez, that's even checking the 4th location. Jesus. I mean, after what happened in game 1, I don't blame him. Bombilla just being very safe, being very secure. Once again, double gas open into a faster factory. Likewise, double gas out of LucianO as well. Same builds. Both players are going for the same builds. Both players are going for their factories. So far, so good. We are going to be settling in. From here, after what happened in game 1, we might actually get into mech. Like, on the one hand, shout out to Bombilla, because he was ahead enough that we avoided mech versus mech on the previous map. On Ultra Love. But, yeah, coming into Amygdala, it is a larger map. It is a larger map with a map pool, a longer rush distance by ground. If we wanted to, we could end up in some proper late game TVT. We could get there. Before that happens though, Proxy Starport. Okay, LucianO, you have my attention. Proxy Starport is on the way. This should be for, I was gonna say for a Hellion drop, where we can open up Reaper Hellion and go for a drop into the bases. But this could also be Proxy Liberator, where we have Reaper Hellion poking in from one end, and then the Liberator coming in from the other. That's what I'm leaning towards. We'll see. Likewise, Bombilla. Is this within range of the Zonaga? If he checks his Zonaga, he will see this. Fusion. Proxy Bees. Gumiho, is that you? Luciano, you're an animal. But Proxy BC's on the way. Let's go. Let's go. But before we can get there, Bombilla, he will catch out almost the first army. The Reapers do pull away in time, going for the middle line. SCV's going to be going down, and Luciano, he's zoned away completely. And before he can get into his own Proxy BC production back at home, he is under fire. He is in trouble. He's in danger here. Reapers, they dive in. Headed for the middle line. More SCV's going to be going down. Back at home, building up his bio army. Oh, and this is getting out of hand. This is becoming far too much damage here. 6, 7, 8 SCV kills. Luciano gets across enough. The tank does shut him down. There's a tank on the high ground. And he should recognize something is wrong. Where's the starport? Where's the second factory? Where's the second Rex? Where is the rest of your production? You're missing something. Is there a ninja base? What's happening? Bombilla should recognize that something is missing here. Something is amiss. As Bombilla
base is under attack, man.
Does back up. Bombilla, he is ahead by 10 workers, shuts down the Hellion, races back home, and that first battlecruiser is soon going to be on the horizon here for Luciano. Now just building up his forces, building up his bio. Cyclone moves out. There is BCs on the way. Now, when it comes to the anti-air here, the anti-air is lacking for Bombilla. He is going for the Raven, and you can disable a BC. So a disable will buy time, but right now he's hyper-fixated on tank production. If he doesn't make any Cyclones, I will say that this one BC could end the game. Like, BCs early on can be quite difficult to deal with. I mean, for all races, really. But especially here in this kind of game state, without any Vikings, without any Cyclones, without many Marines, BCs will overwhelm. And yes, there are a handful of Marines, but these are vanilla Marines. There are 8 vanilla Marines. That's not enough. That is not going to be enough. Disables and order, basically the Ravens. The Ravens are going to be the backbone of the army here, with disables, with auto turrets. Building up more Marines. BC going to be rallying in. Oh, as the Cyclone does fall. Here comes a battlecruiser. Bombilla finally checks Zonaga. Now he knows. Now he sees the fusion core, sees the starport. Now Bombilla is aware. And here comes that battlecruiser. That battlecruiser has arrived. Do you go for the disable? Yeah, there it is. First disable. Oh, does teleport away in time, just in time. Whew. And with that, Bombilla, he defends. As we did mention, that Raven was the backbone of the army, and with the help of that Raven, supply block. Supply block means only one BC, only one battlecruiser. This second battlecruiser should not pop out. That was a brutal supply block, and this is not worth it. Going for a proxy starport and proxy fusion core, this is a big investment, and it is not worth it here. Not for one BC. Starport goes down. Luciano back at home, getting to his own mech. Second factory's on the way. Starport, third TC, third factory as well. That's a rough follow-up here. Speaking of mech, also mech from Bombilla. Getting into Viking and Cyclone production. Now, this is an overreaction. I mean, kind of. I was going to say that this is a lot of anti-air, but he just killed the starport. At the same time, the BC did survive, right? Like, the BC did survive, so there's still a battlecruiser out there. There's definitely value in getting into these Vikings and Cyclones. Yep, there's disable. And what does disable mean? That means that we cannot teleport. At least not until it runs out. Do we have another disable? We do, yeah. The chain disable, the BC does fall. Luciano, he's been trying to be tricky this series. Like, game 1, proxy 2-Rax, game 2, proxy fusion core, proxy BC. And he's been shut down time and time and time again. It's like, Luciano, you don't have to cheese. You don't you don't have to be cheeky, man. And here comes Bombilla. Now, Bombilla does have the army supply lead. What I will say is that Bombilla, he did spend a lot of energy disabling the BC, which means there's less disables here for the tanks. So I don't think that Bombilla can break this position, not against these turrets and tanks. As he's knocking down those rocks. Rocks are knocked down. Takes down the turrets. As we just see Bombilla overextending for a moment here. Does spend some of his energy, does spend some of those auto turrets. What I mean by that is I feel like the disables are going to be crucial to breaking this, and you don't want to waste them. Don't want to waste the energy on those ravens. Tanks are repositioning. Turret goes down, no more turrets. Here comes the dive. You have the mass disable. The tanks are already on siege, thankfully. And here we go, the boys are being pulled. Tanks do siege here for Bombilla. Is within range, and he will take down the mineral line. Yeah, he shuts down the bio. Shuts down the SCVs. Vikings, they land a little bit late, but that's still 16 SCV kills, still worth it. Behind this Bombilla, he's on 3 bases himself, getting a 4th CC. Vikings, they maintain air control. Hunting on the Vikings here of LucianO. We do have landed Viking harass. Oh. One Viking goes down. Scan reveals, of course, mech. Reveals the production, reveals saturation at the 3rd base. LucianO knows that he is behind. He's down 20 workers. And Bombilla's already getting his 4th base. Getting his 4th expansion. Scan reveals all 3 starports, so now he knows that LucianO's going to have a massive Viking lead. LucianO making 6 Vikings at a time. If he had the economy for it. Going into mass Viking. Bombilla is trying to respond with his own starports, but these are late. So late starports out of Bombilla. Down those rocks. And the game is slowing down. Even though Bombilla has had a lead so far, like the game is going to slow down a little bit, it still comes down to positional play. LucianO now has a Viking advantage. Oh, not quite. Almost has a Viking advantage. It's getting there, closing that gap. Scan reveals all the starports. 4 starports for Bombilla. And after an explosive start to the game, we're slowing down. We're slowing down, throwing down more towers, more turrets. Yeah, ring of turrets on the way. Orbitals. CCs. Sensor towers. Ah. Yeah, we're meching it up. Let's go. I mean, LucianO's going to be the first to push. Interesting. Does move out on the right-hand side. I appreciate that LucianO's taking the initiative. I do think he needs to. Let's move in. First Raven goes down. Does get the first Raven. Vikings, they can punish this. We can keep going. Yeah, it does force a land. Does force a land. Oof. As technically, Bombilla could just camp these Vikings. He could just chase them. Oh, no, he lands. Oh, I mean, he can just may as well just take down the tanks. And Bombilla shuts down the tanks, and now we can just camp this army and just ensure that LucianO never lifts. We can keep going. Keep going back. As at this point, LucianO can actually take to the skies once again. There we go. So Bombilla still has that Viking lead. Oh, brutal anti-armor missile. Missile goes off. Raven goes down with the Vikings. They will come out on top here for Bombilla. He just shuts down the Vikings with LucianO. Forces him back. Forces the land. And they're going to trouble Bombilla. He's tempted to land himself. Oh. Is tempted. Does see those Vikings. Now would be the time to engage. Bombilla still has that Viking lead. Getting behind the mineral line. Denying the gold. Again, Bombilla, he's respecting this a little bit too much. He doesn't realize that he's ahead. He's got 27 Vikings to 21. He's got a massive Viking advantage. There we go. Now he commits. Does commit. Shuts down the Vikings. Again, he can just keep chasing. Going for the CC. If it lives, yeah, Vikings are here. The Vikings will punish. They take down the CC. And LucianO's being cornered. Bombilla, he rotates. It's still just all really about the Vikings. LucianO, he is catching up with the Viking count, true. He's catching up. Without that Raven, there's no clear advantage for Bombilla. Ooh, bleeds that one, bleeds that two. Yeah, he gets caught out. He gets caught out, forced to lift. Rough fight here for Bombilla. He will lose even more Vikings. And even though LucianO's been denied bases, even though he's been denied mining, LucianO does take the better fight. Does take the better fight. Now he can land on these tanks. These tanks have to get the hell out of here, and they won't. Yeah, they're going to be hunted down instead. Bombilla overextends. Pushing towards the north side. Does deny an expansion. True. He does lift. He's going to lose everything here. Every Viking's going down. LucianO, he does take the better fight. Cyclones, I guess they'll help. Kinda, I guess. They get a Viking. So you got a Viking. LucianO stuck on a 3-base economy. Bombilla, he's maxing out. Once again, though, Bombilla, his army is lacking when it comes to anti-air. A lot of this comes down to the air battle, and he's currently far behind here in the Viking count. The Liberators will help support. And Vikings forced to land. Oh, nice lock-ons, though. The Cyclones, they shut down the Libs. Yeah, that should not have happened. The Liberators do fall. Vikings, they go for the mineral line. They will shut it down. Getting every single SCV. Late reaction by Bombilla. And Bombilla, he can't take the fight. The locals are brutal. Oh, God. And the punish is real. Cyclones, they shut down the Vikings. Oh, my God. So hard, so fast. And Bombilla, he's done it. He has done it at this point. He's forcing back LucianO. Denies mining. Tanks are within range of the mineral line. 21 SCV kills and counting. 26. 27. And once the MOB, he does catch out those lives. Takes down the Liberators, catches out the Vikings. GG gets called, and Bombilla, he will take a 2-0 lead. Whew. GG. GG, well played. We'll take a 2-0 lead. Again, Bombilla once again had a very strong start to the game because he was able to find the proxy fusion core, the proxy BC out of LucianO. What I will say is that LucianO, he did recover, kind of. He was able to take some better fights with his Vikings, but as a reminder, he was behind economically the entire game. He was behind economically the entire game, down in bases, down in workers. He never recovered economically. Again, he may have had some better fights here and there, but it wasn't quite worth it in the end. Wasn't enough to recover, and with that, Bombilla will take a further lead in the series, and we'll see if he can close the series out or if LucianO can bounce back. It's been a rough series so far. I'm hoping that LucianO doesn't proxy coming into the game 3, but the pressure is on. Or is it off? It depends on how you look at it. As a reminder, this is a best of 3, but all 3 matches are played regardless of scoreline. And here we go, we're getting into that third game, and spawning in the top right hand corner of ley lines, we have the Chilean Terran player, the blue Terran, down in the series. Can he make a series out of this? Can he put a point on the board? It is LucianO. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Peruvian Terran player, the red Terran representing Imperforce. It is Bombilla. And so far, Bombilla looking solid. As I mentioned leading into this series, even though Bombilla has been very inactive for years at this point, Bombilla, he has been, or what I should say is that TVT hasn't really changed too much. TVT hasn't really changed too much over the years. It's still very similar, very constant. As I mentioned before, there are some quirky builds here and there that have been added and have been refined, but outside of that, the foundation of TVT is still there, like tank counts, like positional play, air control, and air advantage is still a big factor. As once again, Bombilla being very vigilant here in scouting. After what happened in now game 1 and in game 2, being very, very careful. Very careful with the scouting. He even checks the top side of the map. And LucianO, he does go for his own SCV scout as well. As we have our double gas opener out of Bombilla. LucianO going for an economic opener for the first time this series. For the first time, we do see a single gas, which means a faster CC. Go as Bombilla, he does keep his SCV hidden. Now, because it's hidden SCV, it looks like proxy starport. It looks like 111 proxy starport. Now, just like we were assuming in the previous game, this should either be proxy starport into medevac for a drop into the main, or starport into liberator for aggression at the natural, and then liberator slips into the main base at the same time, while there's a distraction going on. So it should be one of the two. Technically, this can be proxy like BC, but like it's very niche. What are the odds that we see that here in game 3? Relatively high because it happened in game 2, but we'll see. As the SCV is on patrol, factory does complete, so building up that Reaper Hellion. Again, LucianO, he will have that greater economy. Yes, all 3 games played. Once again, if you're in the chat, if you do see the scoreline, as a reminder, this is a best of 3, but all 3 games are played. This is the case for all matches in the group stage, regardless of scoreline. If it's a 3-0 or a 2-1, all 3 games are played out. So, best of 3, all games played. And here we go. Bombilla does move out. Likewise, that proxy starport is on the way. It is a bit of a later starport, is what I will say. So delayed starport into Tech Lab, into Banshee. Okay. You have Cloak Banshee on the horizon here for Bombilla. Oh, as he will lose his SCV, he actually Bombilla dragged all the way back home. Not bad. LucianO does delay. Does delay. Black Bats gets eyes on the Cyclone follow-up. Meanwhile, the Tech Lab is done. Shows those Banshees. There we go. Cloak Banshees on the way here for Bombilla. And back at home, what do we have to defend? So far, LucianO, he hasn't seen much as to what's going on, as he didn't quite get into the main base. So far, he's secure though. He's got his tanks, got his bio. Getting into a 2-base all-in. Ooh, it's been a while since I've seen this build, but this is going to be a 2-port 2-base all-in. If you remember, we actually saw Cure attempt this last night in the Rex March Madness in Cure's TVT against Bjorn. If you remember, Cure, he was going for the 2-port 2-base all-in, and then he died before he could really get it going. Like, Bjorn was able to catch him off guard, get bust into the natural, and just end the game before before Cure can get into his build. And we'll see how Bombilla reacts in response to this. So for those that are curious as to what this build is, basically it's Mass Viking. It's 2-port into Mass Viking. Once we get up to around 4 or 5 Vikings, once we securely have air control, then you go into Liberators, right? Then you go into Liberators, and the goal here is that Liberators, they bully the ground army, and Vikings make sure that there's no anti-air to deal with the lid, and then you just end the game. So this is a 2-base all-in. Here we go, Vikings are still amassing. LucianO does rally across the map. Unfortunately, we do have Banshees building up, and the Banshees, they will get some counter damage done, but this will not help in the main base defense. This will not help in the defense. LucianO does push, back at home. There's not much anti-air. There's the one tank on the high ground, and Bombilla, he will take down the Reaper at least. Does zone away. LucianO, he rotates. Does rotate, looking for another way in. Banshees, they do hit the main. So he's going to be going down, but there are plenty of Vikings. Where's the cloak? Ooh, God. Does cloak in time. Does cloak. Scan, not quite available. Bit of a miss rally. A bit of a miss rally here. That's why we bleeds out more Hellions. Vikings still building up. Delay in the 3rd CC. Bombilla does at least scout that, but he's going to be shut down. He's going to be cleaned up. He does get how many? 8 SCV kills. Not bad. Not bad damage. Now, bearing in mind that LucianO, he is getting, or he's trying to get a 3rd CC behind this, so he is not all in. He is attempting to expand. Got another worker. As LucianO still trying to find a way in. Meanwhile, another Cloak Banshee on the way. LucianO throwing down an eBay. That's going to be for turrets. So far, still just a very awkward game state. Bombilla does have that worker advantage. Does pull the boys. This I'm less sure about. It's okay. Does pull the boys. Tries to break the siege line. A lot of SCVs going to be going down. Oh my god. Going to be losing everything here. SCVs do fall. He will clean this up. But this was a messy fight for Bombilla. Ooh, as he will lose how many? 16 SCVs go down. Bombilla had a worker lead, not anymore. And he's committing. He's committing across the map. Back at home, there's one tank to defend. Moving in. Does move in. Sieging up those tanks. Again, air control still in favor of LucianO. Ooh, and Bombilla. No, he missed the scan. He does miss. Tank goes down. Nice pickup. Vikings do land. He gets another tank. He gets a Cyclone. And LucianO looking solid here. LucianO, he now takes the lead. He's up on workers. He's up on bases. 3rd base still floating over for Bombilla. 4th CC. Sorry. Another factory on the way. No commence any yet. Once again, it's going to be mech from both players. Mech from Bombilla and from LucianO. Meching it up. LucianO, he breaks out. Doesn't have disable. So it could be an awkward engage. As Luciano, he's looking for a way in. The supplies are still quite close, but the Viking count is clearly in lead of Luciano. He's got plenty of Vikings. Shuts down the Vikings of his opponents, zones them away, and he can go straight for the mineral line. He can, and he will. Yeah, he lands boys that's going to be trying to pull away. Vikings, they shut down SCVs so fast and so quick. Boys are being pulled, but he tries to break out, and he will. But at a cost. So many SCV kills here. Oof. Yeah, the natural base is forced to lift. Vikings have to get the hell out of here. And he shouldn't get the CC. It barely won't. Doesn't get the Grand Center, but alas, he has gotten 47 SCV kills. Aye, aye, aye. 47 SCVs going down. And again, it's just been a rough defense here for Bombilla. Time and time again, just losing so many workers. And now he's down to 32, down to, what, a 2-base economy? If that. Shadowy waddles in. Getting another couple of SCVs, nothing major. It's going to be an expensive run by, and he's going to lose this tank. Behind this, Luciano still has the Viking lead, the tank lead, and of course the SCVs as well. Just now building up his production, getting further ahead. And here comes the move out. Here comes a death wall of an army here. He's got tanks, he's got Vikings, he has everything he needs. Technically, it can still be difficult to push up a ramp into all these tanks, but he might be able to find a better angle here towards the natural. Yeah, there's a big opening here towards the left-hand side. Dust bolt all the tanks. Luciano get within range. Where's the scan? No scan. This first tank is going to fall. Oh, barely not. Luciano moving in. There's the counter scan. But this tank is still going to go down. And Luciano just forcing his way into that third. Vikings, they land. Luciano has to land his Vikings. Oh, does he in time? He tries to get in position. Lands the Vikings. He will lose 1, 2, 3 tanks. But last GG gets caught. Luciano, he breaks through. And Luciano, he does fight back. He does put a point on the board. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Luciano, he does fight back, does put a point on the board, and with that, we do have a back and forth. We did have a back and forth here. GG, well played. Again, the one game that Luciano didn't proxy, and hey, he wins. the one time, Bobby, the one time. Ay, este Luciano. Shaking my head. Of course, we had a very intense, very dynamic series. Game 1, Luciano went proxy 2 racks, got shut down. Game 2, proxy BC, got shut down as well. Game 3, instead, it was actually Bombilla going proxy Banshee. He got shut down as a result. Was shut down. Did lose so many SCVs here when it came to the main defense. And with that, that leads us into our next set of matches. Here we go, scrolling on over. Let's catch up on the bracket, catch up on the group. So we just wrapped up our first 2 series. Bombilla 2-1 over Tiny Horse. Likewise, Bombilla 2-1 over Luciano. Solid result here by Bombilla. I'll be honest, I was favoring Luciano coming into that series, but again, I mean, Luciano, he was cheesing it up quite a bit and was punished for it. And now we're going to be featuring the heavy hitter himself, Mute. Mute is coming in as the favorite in Group D. After the break, we have Mute versus Bombilla and Mute versus Luciano. Mute's going up against both Terran players here. We'll see how he compares. We'll see if the 2 Terrans can bring him down, as Mute has been improving a lot over the past year. It's been impressive to see the growth of Mute as a player. Oh boy. So it is going to be some intense PVTs. For now, though, we're going to be going on that break, so take this time to get some snacks, get some food, get some water, drain your disruptors, massage your marines, and hydrate all of your hydras. When we come back, Mute versus Bombilla is coming up next. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Whew. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you all once again. We have returned with the second half of the broadcast with the Hispanic Star League Group D. We are now halfway through the broadcast as we're getting to our next matchup. GSL is round robin into brackets. That is not true. GSL is a GSL format. The way the GSL groups work is that the winners play against each other, losers play against each other, and then you have the decider match. So you have less matches in a GSL group. In round robin, everyone plays against everyone, regardless. We are jumping into our next set of matches here. Up next, we have our PVTs even. We have Mute versus Bombilla and Mute versus LucianO right around the corner. Let's go. Let us go. And again, I'm excited because I want to see how Bombilla is comparing against some of these more modern players. We saw Bombilla versus LucianO previously, and we'll see how he compares. We'll see how he does compare to Mute. Here we go. So jumping into game one. Game one is going to be on Amygdala. Let's go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the red Terran player, the red Terran from the land of Peru, representing Imba Force. It is Bombilla. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss from the land of Peru, representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Mute. And do I go as far as to say that Mute is the best Protoss player in Latino America now? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Mute has been improving so much. I remember casting Mute last year, like beginning of last year, and you know, he had just gotten back into GM, like he was just kind of like popping up into the scene. But Mute has been steadily improving, over time, over the past year, and nowadays we've even seen Mute cause upsets. I think it was a couple of weeks ago where Mute took down Classic. Mute took he took a map off of Cure as well. Like Mute, he's now taking maps off of some of the best players in the world. It's been crazy to see the growth of Mute, and I have a hard time placing him against Master. You know, show matchup bound potentially, but Master, he is of course the Brazilian Protoss player. I'm curious to see how he compares to our Peruvian Protoss. I'm curious. For now though, gonna be settling in. Oh, so yeah, speaking of I just spoke about how Mute did defeat Classic, and yeah, Bombilla, he's also bringing that up. Like that's the most recent big win that Mute had, is that he did 2-0. It was a 2-0 as well, I believe, not even a 2-1. Mute saying he feels good. Does feel good. Se siento bien, papi. Beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, it was in KSL, the Korean StarCraft League. I don't think we casted it. No, we didn't cast it. I just remember seeing it on the bracket and messaging Mute. I was like, mate, the hell, what's going on? It was like, I got lucky, papi. I got lucky. But really cool to see that Bombilla is aware of as well. Is aware. And that's the reason why Mute is the favorite player coming into these groups. Like, again, he's beating players like Classic, beating players like Cure. Like, it's crazy. Crazy. Imagine being from the Latin American scene but beating one of the best. I mean, is that uncommon? I mean, are we not going to talk about Juanito or Cham or Eric? Like, Eric, he's had his way with Dark, like, multiple times, especially last year, right? Where Eric does have the superior ZVZ over Dark. It was Juanito, you know, of course, spending time in Korea. Diego. Yeah, not uncommon. But, I mean, that's again, kind of like emphasizing how Mute is, like, rising up and becoming, like, one of the best in the region, and yeah, becoming comparable to some of the other top players out there. It's interesting. I wouldn't say that he's quite there yet. I would say that, you know, winning one series doesn't mean that, oh, suddenly you're on par. He still has a ways to go, but it's about becoming, like, more consistent, right? It's about consistently beating these players and consistently being at that level, instead of, you know, being at your best and maybe your opponent having an off day. It's about, you know, being there more often. And we'll see. We'll see if we can get there. But now we do have Bombilla going to be poking and testing the waters. So far, shield battery is done. We have a full wall off here at the natural. Likewise, SimCity here in the main will block off those Reapers. As a Reaper, they cannot get into the main base. Mute, he is solid. He is secure. And Mute is shutting down the initial Reaper Hellion aggression. So far, so good. Twice? I'm pretty sure it happened 3 times. Am I crazy? Did Eric not take down Dark like 3 times? Like, it happened very, very regularly. And now Bombilla going to be forced back. He's going to be forced back behind this, getting to its own setup. Twice or back-to-back? Yeah, twice is back-to-back. But I'm pretty sure he's beating him more than that. As from here, again, getting to his own bio tank. No mech? I should emphasize that as well. Every game so far, or almost every game so far, Bombilla against Zerg and Bombilla against Terran, we have seen mech. He does not whip out the mech against his current Protoss opponent though, and this is looking like a 2-base all-in. Just as a heads up, this is a 3-vac setup before the starport. This is a very delayed starport. What does this mean? This means early stim. This means additional bio production. This means a very strong, very hefty army early on. And Bombilla, he might pull the boys with this. We'll see. Regardless, he's going to have a hefty army, and it's going to be up to Mute to survive. Mute, now he does scout. He does see the missing starport, so he knows how aggressive this is going to be. And I like this move out Mute. He has to be as aggressive as possible. He has to be as aggressive as possible to slow down this push, to pick away at the Marines and to pick away at the tanks. Mute does move out. Last one, but yeah, he does siege. Oh! Tank shot not quite going off. Yeah, nice volleys. One Stalker goes down. Mute, he rotates. Does rotate, looking for another way in. Does head towards the main base as Stim is done, by the way, and Stim is going to punish this. Yeah, this is not the blink. Not the blink to go for. Oh my god, brutal losses here for Mute as he will lose everything. A big misread of the situation. Again, Mute, despite seeing the build of choice, he should have known that Stim was done. Alas, he gets punished real hard and real fast, and Bombilla takes a massive lead. I mentioned earlier that Mute had to be aggressive. That doesn't mean blinking into the bases. That means slowing down the push, not diving in. And with that Bombilla, he has a massive lead. Back at home, Mute trying to work towards his own Colossus follow-up, working towards charge, working towards Colossus production. But last, Bombilla does have a big advantage. Now is the time. Now, the scary thing about Bombilla's position is that, on the one hand, yes, Bombilla does have a lead. The problem, though, is that if he does move out, there's a prison. There's war prison, there's charge lots, like there is a harassment or a counterattack ready to go in. And of course, Bombilla, he did scout that prison. So he's still being contained. Still being contained. So he does need to move out before there are too many Colossus. First Colossus on the way. Here comes the unsiege, here comes the push. And as Bombilla moves out, Mute moves in. And Mute does hit that mineral line. SCV's going to be going down. Bombilla, he has to pull away. How does he react? He commits. He keeps going. Yeah, he doesn't care here about those delts in the main. SCV's going to be falling. He gets so far only 2 SCVs in camps of production, and he just pulled the, yeah, he was just pulled the boys. So 2-base all in here by Bombilla. If you recall, we called the 2-base all in when we saw the late starport, so it's all or nothing for the Terran. There's going to be 1 Colossus to defend, and only 1 Colossus. That may not be enough. As it's all or nothing for Bombilla, he just lifts, he evacuates his main base, the Great Migration has occurred. Gets the hell out of there. Oh, he has to be careful though. He has to make sure he doesn't go in too soon, too prematurely. There your Sim's in. Does go for the Sim. Very nice force fields. Ooh, completely locks him out. SCV's gonna be going down. Nice save, nice lift. As he will break the 3rd, but he has to do more than just the 3rd base. And Mute, he's out of force fields. He's out of force fields. Yeah, the robo is exposed. Mute, he abandons his position. He does go for the counterattack, and we're going for the base trade. Now, these buildings are actually still within range of the Stalkers, so they have to do a better job at floating away. Bombilla, he has to be careful. Rover's gonna go down, no second Colossus. And Mute, I believe he does escape with a probe. Crucial here. He has a worker. He can throw down a building. Bobby, we have to float. We have to float away. These buildings are gonna go down. Yeah, again, there's no dead space. There's no dead space here, so these Raxes are gonna fall. The CC as well. These buildings should survive, at least the ones at the natural. And again, Bombilla, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep pushing. And I think regardless of Bombilla losing his CC and losing these Raxes, I believe Bombilla, he should still come out on top here. As I do favor his army as the CC goes down. But again, specifically, these two buildings are safe. This CC and this starport. That's all that matters. Is that those buildings are safe. Main base is gonna fall. There's that pylon. Again, there is still that probe. Going for the Star... Oh god, they're going for the Stargate. On the one hand, I mean, we need pylons, yeah. I mean, Mute is heavily supply blocked. Does need pylons. So the Stargate is a good option because then he can hunt down these floating buildings, but he can't make anything because of the supply block. He cannot make any units. As gateways are going to be falling. Mute is not going to be revealed as he has a Nexus. Bombilla should be aware. Throws out his own CC. Let's go. Throws out his own command center. Mute can afford some extra pylons, and he's going to need them. Oh! Mute picking away at the SCVs. Going for the tank. Ooh, gets it. Does get it. Nice pickoff. Gets one of the tanks. Colossus moving in. Because of these sentries, he can force field the ramp. True. Bombilla, he cannot push down. He cannot push down this ramp. If he tries to, he will lose everything. Oh, he sees the observer. Does see the observer. He's going to land for the scan. And that will help. It's going to be a nice pickoff. There it is. There's the scan. Observer goes down. So no high ground vision. But he does have the prism. He has hallucinations. And because these medevacs, Bombilla, he can always drop down. Like, he can always, like, ferry his units to the low ground on the left-hand side. Oh, this is so risky. This is very risky here. He's playing with fire right now. Bombilla, cuidado. Meanwhile, he has taken the main base of his opponent. Likewise, Mute taken the main base of Bombilla. We have traded bases. No more Maxes I found. More Maxes are found. Like, in a head-on fight, Bombilla wins, but this is not going to be a head-on fight. Oh, he's going to try to pull the voice, but we have force field. That's the problem here. No, this is not the play. Yeah, 2 tanks that go down for free. Force field on the ramp. Bombilla losing so much here. Does he still have enough? I mean, the tanks, they do help out on the high ground, but Bombilla, he's bleeding out more units than he should. There's another force field. Does miss. He misses the force field. Bombilla, he breaks out, takes out the Colossus. Ooh, hot pickup. But the Mass Marine should be enough. He wants that prism. He wants it. Oh my god. Takes out the Stalkers. Whew. And even though that was maybe one of the worst fights that he could have taken, still breaks through. Still breaks through. Mute. He misses the force fields. And Bombilla, oh my god. The Colossus wipes are brutal. Bombilla, he breaks out. He breaks out, he moves out across the map. There's 2 Stalkers, 1's out, and a Colossus. Shields are regenerating. Bombilla going for the bases. We're still committed to the base trade. Bombilla, he's searching for the expansions. There we go, he does scan, does find the Nexus. Likewise, these SCVs are going to go down. And there's no saving them. Oh, he's making Marine. He's making Marine. Let's go. Is producing Marines. And Bombilla, he should take this. He should take this. as there is a Phoenix to hunt down flying buildings, but there's no way out of the main. There is a pylon on the map. The Prism can try to... Oh, there's a probe. True, there's a probe on the map as well. So Mute, he can make a pylon. Main base is going to fall. Colossus races back home. Has to be so careful with that Colossus. Ah, there's a Viking. Yeah, the Viking should secure this, because the Viking can hunt down the Prism. Speaking of, is going to... Yeah, Viking moves in. Oof. Phoenix does help. Does zone. Zone, but a whole damage on the Phoenix as well. Down to one pylon. Where's that probe? Probe is top right. Mute. There we go. Second pylon. Second pylon is thrown down. There's still one pylon left. There's one pylon. There's a Colossus. A handful of gateway units and a dream. One pylon remaining. And Bombilla, he's going for it. Does send it across the map. One pylon left. I believe Mute is revealed. Yep, Mute is revealed. He sees the pylon. He's going for it. Likewise, still has a Rex burning. He does have the starport towards top left. He has a CC mining, of course, with the mules. And of course, Mute doesn't know where the CC is. Does know where it is. Stims on in. Takes down the pylon. And GG. And GG gets called. The final building goes down, and Bombilla takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. And again, this all kind of came down to the misread of Mute. As a reminder, Mute, he scouted the 3 racks. He scouted the 3 rack setup. And what was his decision? His decision was to blink into the main. He blinked into the main base, he lost all of his stalkers, and that allowed the 2-base all-in from Bombilla to be even stronger. So he pulled the boys, went for the 2-base all-in, and alas, Mute could not do anything about it. He had bled out too much at the start of the game. And again, Mute, he knew what was happening. He saw the build. Alas, the play was not to blink into the main base, but to try to just contain the Terran player. That would be the go-to there. Contain the Terran, slow down the push, pick away Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, tanks, SCVs, just slow down the all-in. Instead, Mute was overly aggressive. He was overly aggressive, he overstepped his bounds, and alas, lost everything. Did lose everything as a result. GG. Whew, GG, well played. That leads us into game number 2. Leads us into El Dorado. Let's go. Jumping into El Dorado. Okay, and a crazy chaotic game 1. We'll see if game 2 is more of the same. Let's go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of El Dorado, we have the red Terran player from the land of Peru, leading the series 1-0. Representing Imba Force, it is Bombilla. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the blue Protoss flavor, the blue Protoss himself from land of Peru, representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Mute. Here we go. We are going to be settling in, and we do see Bombilla going for an economic opener, going for a single gas geyser into a CC on the low ground. So a more economic start here out of Bombilla. Meanwhile, Mute across the map going to be settling in as well into his own standard opener. Here we go. Oh, my apologies. I assumed it was going to be a CC on low ground. It's going to be a second Rax instead. Okay, 2 Rax Reaper out of Bombilla. Interesting choice. Going for something more aggressive here instead. Meanwhile, Mute for the time being is unaware. He's just getting into his own setup, into his own build. Into his own build of choice. So, Gateway into Cybercore into Expansion. Everything so far looking good. And we'll see what Bombilla can get done. As, he's going reactor. Wait, he's going double reactor. Wait, what? Okay, so traditional 2-Rax Reaper is you just make your Raxes and you just make your Reapers. You don't actually get into add-ons. You build up towards a higher Reaper count early on. You harass across the map. This is more committed. This is going to be delayed, but we are going to be making 4 Reapers at a time. And yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I actually haven't seen this before. It's very committed, very committed. It's a bigger investment as well. It's gonna be a lot of Reapers. This does heavily delay the CC. Big delay here in the command center for Bombilla. This needs to get economic damage done. Otherwise, it's not gonna be worth it. It's not going to be worth it here. LucianO scouts 1 Rax. Does scout the main and should check the natural as well. Should check the natural. For now, Reapers are amassing. LucianO just confirming the lack of anything else in the main. Checking the vision. Mute, he does check the natural. Nothing there either. Something is wrong. Something is amiss. And he will scout. Yeah, he scouts second Rax. He does scout the second Rax here. Does confirm. Back at him, shield batteries are on the way. We need as many gateway units as possible. Mute taking defensive stance. He sees everything. He knows. Mute knows what's going on. It's 4. It's a 1 base all in. Okay. 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 So it's going to be a 1 base 4 Rax Mass Reaper all in here. Bombilla, he might even go like eBay into +1. He's crazy, just going Mass Reaper. Now, what I find interesting about this is that this is not a good map for Reapers. And why is this not a good map for Reapers? Because there's no way into the main. Like, there's no Reaper cliff. There's no Reaper. There's only one. You can only head towards the natural. So you can't, like, outposition your opponents. You can't, like, rotate back and forth. Instead, he's trying to brute force the issue here. But alas, he cannot break through that shield battery. He cannot break through that support. More shield batteries on the way. Like, this is it. This is the only entrance. The only entrance into the bases is at the front door. And I would say that the value, the added value of Reapers is their mobility, is to rotate between locations, between Reaper cliffs. But there aren't multiple Reaper cliffs on El Dorado. Does try to rush past the main army, true. But takes a lot of losses in the process. Yeah, Reapers are going down. He's going for the Sentry. Sentry survives. The shield battery is insane. There we go, out of range of shield battery, 1 Sentry falls, but this is not worth it. It's not worth it here. So many Reapers go down. Ay, ay, ay. Mute so far looking solid. Mute, he has killed 7 Reapers for 1 Sentry. 1 Sentry, papi. Ay, ay, ay. Behind this, Bombilla is transitioning into Stim, into Concussive Shell, into mass bioproduction. But this is going to be delayed. It's going to be delayed. And Mute, he's getting into his own blink timing, extra gateways, robos on the way for immortals for potentially splash damage. Of course, because Mute saw all the Raxes, for the most part, he knows that like the potential follow-up is going to be bio and Stim. To make use of all that production. And yeah, we'll see how Bombilla is able to pull this off. Now, we already saw Mute misreading and overextending in game 1. True, that already happened. That already did happen in game 1. So that could happen again. That could occur for a second time. As here comes a follow-up. Upgrades are wrapping up here for Bombilla, and it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing here. I mean, at this point, may as well just pull the boys, to be honest, but it's fine. Mute takes the 3rd base. This is greedy from Mute. Mute's also taking up towards that Colossus. He's not there yet. Mute does attempt to move out. There's that Stim. There's that Stim from Bombilla. Does Stim forward, takes down a Stalker. Gets over the sentries with the shield batteries. Has 3 shield batteries here to support this. And the shield batteries, they do pop off. A crazy blink there out of Mute. Once again, that's not the blink to go for. Boys are being pulled with the help of the boys. He defends. He does defend. He will clean this up. Some questionable moves there out of Mute, but regardless, he will hold nonetheless. He will defend. He holds, he shuts down the all-in, shuts down the aggression. Has plenty of Stalkers left over. Nice control there by Bombilla. Does focus on that weakened Stalker. But despite that, Mute, he saves a third. He saves his third base. Momentum is on his side. The Bay is done. He can go into Colossus production. You're just checking for any, you know, Gangnam Terran or Ninja bases. Confirms nothing here. You can gain access to that natural. Yep, catching reinforcements. Nice backstab by Mute. Boys are being pulled. And this is brutal damage. I mean, there's barely an economy to begin with. Back at home, we have force fields. And do we force the ramp in time? Oh, yeah, so far, so good. Yeah, force fields, they lock him down. GG gets called, and Mute takes or does fight back, and does tie things up 1-1. Whew, GG. Does tie things up. With that, we're getting into game number 3 with a back and forth. Let's go. We have that back and forth. Again, it was a crazy build out of Bombilla going for 2x reactored Mass Reaper into a 1-base sim timing all in. It was crazy. Again, I think I would appreciate that build a little bit more on another map, on maybe Whispers of Gold, or maybe even Ultra Love as well. Just some of these other maps that do have multiple entrances into the natural and into the main base, so you can actually just rotate between them, and then that means that you force the Protoss to throw down shield batteries in both bases, in both locations, and spread out their army and split up, and then you can try to catch them out of position. Like, there are ways to make use of the terrain, and I feel like that's how you have to approach this if you're going Mass Reaper. Here on El Dorado, as we saw, just one avenue of attack, right? Just one avenue, the natural, so a lot easier for our Protoss player to just pull off that defense and to secure himself. GG. GG, well played. With that, that leads us into game number 3, and we'll see how this story ends as we are loading into ley lines. Let's go. Here we go, and spawning in the top right hand corner of ley lines, we have our red Terran player. We have our red Terran representing Imba Force. It is Bombilla. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player from Land of Peru representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Mute. Now, coming into this, Bombilla has gone for an all-in every game. Game 1 was a 2-base all-in. Game 2 was a 1-base all-in. Coming into game 3, does he actually expand? Does he play macro? Does he get a third CC? Or do we have another all-in from Bombilla? I'm leaning towards aggression. I'm leaning towards an all-in, but we'll see. We'll see what Bombilla does go for. Here on ley lines, it is a bit of a larger map, but smaller compared to Amygdala, so I expect him to take a natural. I'm leaning towards 2-base all-in. We'll keep an eye on his build. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, standard opener out of Mute. I do think that Mute has had some questionable decision making when it comes to the main fights, when it comes to the engagements. We've had some crazy blinks out of Mute, and he's been punished for it time and time again, both in game 1 and in game 2. So hopefully it calms things down a little bit coming into game 3. We'll see. We shall see. We got a series. We do. I mean, so far every series tonight has gone to, has been a back and forth. Some matches have been, 2-0. Then the third game is like they're able to put a point on the board. But so far we've had, like, again, a back and forth, and it's been more competitive between all of our players. 2x Now, this is more standard here. 2x Reaper, but the second Rax is in the main, and there's no reactor. There's no reactors here, so this is more standard. This is a macro opener. This is designed to get some economic damage done. That is true. It is designed to get some economic damage, but this is not an all-in, at least not yet. Bombilla could turn this into an all-in. True, he could just throw down 2 more Raxes and start a tech lab, but thankfully there's a CC. Commencer is on the way. Bombilla, he does scout, looking for proxies. Checks the third and fourth location, making sure nothing is amiss. Ooh, that is the third Rax. Okay, so 2 Rax Reaper into a 3 Rax, and Mute, he will once again see everything. Just really safe play at a Mute, opening Sentry. Sentry confirm, or Hallucination confirms everything in the main base, is aware of the 3 Rax. Now, as a response to this, we could go for a Robo Opener. A Robo Opener would be a hard counter. Instead, Twilight Council. Okay, Twilight Council out of Mute. Now, a Robo Opener would lead into Immortals and lead into early Colossus to shut down the stim timing. Stalkers are also a good response, though, getting to Blink and ideally being proactive, ideally slowing down the push ahead of time. But now Reapers, they hit the natural, shield battery is done. Ooh, they get locked down, the force fields are brutal. And the Reapers, they are forced into the natural, deeper into the bases. And they should be cleaned up. I say that. Oh, the Jukes does rotate here towards low ground and does get 1 probe. 1 probe does fall. Nice movement there by Bombilla, making the best out of a bad situation. We'll still lose both Reapers though. Still a better trade for the Protoss. And there is Blink. Blink is on the way. Behind this, we should be seeing extra gateways. We should not be rushing to a 3rd base yet. We should be getting into a 2nd, into a 3rd gate, into a safer start. As Bombilla is moving out. There we go, 3rd gate's on the way. There's that Robo for the safety immortal production, if need be. Here comes Bombilla. This is a really early push. Remember, Stim isn't done. Stim is only not even halfway done at this point, so very early move out by Bombilla. He does have Concussive. Concussive Shell is done. But I do think he's being a little bit too cavalier here. Like, he's got to calm down a little bit. Doesn't want to throw away too much too quickly. And he's trying to catch out a Stalker. Alas, won't quite be able to. Gets a Sentry at least. And will get a Stalker. Yeah, Stalker goes down. He gets 1. He gets 2. Blink is not yet done. So not the worst trades here. Oh. Not the worst trades from Bombilla. But this is hurting Bombilla more than it is Mute. What I mean by that here is, as he will get another... Oh, barely doesn't get another Stalker. Barely does pull away. But what I mean by that is that Bombilla, this sim timing is going to be weaker now. Because, he just lost how many Marines? 9, 10. 10 Marines just went down, 3 Marauders as well, and what did he get? He got 3 Stalkers and a Sentry. Alas, this does mean that even though Stim is done, there's that much less to work with here for the Terran army. So it's going to be a weaker Stim timing. Mute's behind this, going for the Dark Shrine. I do really like DTs when you know that your opponent's going for an all-in. Behind this 3-1-1 setup. Just because without a 3rd CC, your scans are very limited as a Terran player. So Dark Templar can be brutal. Stalkers, they pick away at the bio, they force out a Stim. Muty gets the hell out of there. Does pull away. Does pull out, does pull away. So far, nice pickoffs. Getting another Marine. The Bay is done. Colossus is going to be on the horizon. Bombilla, he throws down 2 more Maxes. No 3rd TC. This is looking like a 2-base all-in. But Bombilla is still building up. Oh, here come the Dark Templar. Yeah, Proxy Pylon DTs are warping across the map. And again, scans are going to be limited because, again, Bombilla's committed on 2 bases. He is mealing his heart out. So we'll keep an eye on those scans. Ideally, Mute wants to wait for Bombilla to move out before moving in. Scans are available. Oh, he gets spotted. Does he get spotted? Did he notice? Double eBay for double upgrades. He's holding on to that energy. Yeah, he's holding on. Okay. Did he notice the shimmer? I don't know. I don't know if he noticed the shimmer, but he is holding on to that energy at least, which is a good sign. From here, Mute, he's building up more Colossus. Bombilla, still no expansion. So Templar, they pull away. Yeah, Bombilla looks like he did notice. He's hunting them down. We'll find the pylon. Now, if he had noticed, we'd see turrets. So the lack of turrets is concerning to me. He has the eBay to make them. There we go. Turrets are on the way. He saw, baby. He saw. And the boys are being pulled. The boys are being pulled. So straight up 2 base all in, as I did mention, out of Bombilla. Almost all the boys are being pulled, by the way, even from the main. It's all or nothing from the Terran, as he will send everything across the map. Back at home. Unit setting up. DTs do waddle in. There is detection. And we need force fields. Force fields are going to be so crucial here in the defense. Unit has to try to slice up this army. Bombilla. Oh. Getting caught out. Okay, SVs, they move in. Force fields are decent. Yeah, they slow down the army. Charge is now done. SVs, they get completely shut down, and now we're going for the buy. We're going for the Marines. And these 2 Colossus, they just shut down the all-in. And the Colossus are ready. They're secure. We have cannons. We have shield batteries. There's no breaking this position. Yeah, Bombilla, he scans. He sees. He knows he cannot break this. GG. And Mute, he will take the series 2-1. Will maintain his lead. GG. GG. Well played, Mute will take it. A very aggressive series here out of Bombilla. Bombilla going for non-stop, either 1 base all-ins or 2 base all-ins, and did have some success. But again, I would say that a lot of that on on Amygdala did come down to Mute overextending, misreading what he had scouted, and getting caught with his pants down. Mute had a very rough response on Amygdala, and alas, he got overwhelmed. But shout to Bombilla. Big shout to Bombilla, as he does make Mute work for it. Did go down in the end, but not looking too bad whatsoever. As that leads us into our final series of the night, into our next best of 3. It's going to be a best of 3 between Mute and LucianO. Let's go. Let us go. As we are getting into our next series, it's going to be another TVP, another Terran vs Protoss. LucianO, I would say, had a really rough showing against Bombilla. Remember, LucianO, he went proxy Raxes and he went for proxy BCs, and he got scattered both times. He got shut down both times. So LucianO, he never really got to get into his builds. He never got into his builds, and I would say that he never really got to show his full force in that TVT. We'll see if he can recover and show off here against his Protoss opponents. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have our blue Terran player from the land of Chile, representing clan NWCE. It is LucianO. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the Peruvian Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Mute. We go. And LucianO, he can be a very chaotic player, is what I will say. We have casted LucianO many times on this channel, and we have seen some crazy all-ins and some crazy builds. We have seen LucianO even play mech against Protoss. That has happened before. We'll see if it happens in this series. For now, double gas. Double gas opener out of LucianO. Double gas into a faster factory, into a delayed CC. Mute coming in with a Probe Scout. Does move in. So, also, we appreciate it, Turbo Quacker. We appreciate it. The shout outs. Yes. It's true. We do have a Patreon. Speaking of like crowd-funded and community support, shout out to the Latin American region, Latin American scene. Of course, we do our own crowdfunding through our Patreon to host our own tournaments. And for those that are unaware, the HSL is not organized by us, not by the CranKy Ducklings. It is organized by Bond. Bond is a caster from Spain. I should say he's a content creator. He's a content creator from Spain. Does a lot of content on YouTube, and he did actually work together with Enki, a content creator, a caster from Mexico, with Protosito, with the Novak as well, who's also from Spain. Basically, a bunch of casters and content creators from the Spanish-speaking community did come together to actually help crowdfund this event and make this event a reality. So big shout out to the Latin American, to the Spanish-speaking community for making this a thing, for bringing together the HSL. So big shout out. Of course, we have close ties with the Latin American community, so of course we stepped in as well as LucianO. Oh, he's proxying. He's going one base solid. God damn it. God damn. I just want some macro, papi. Oh my god. One base all in at LucianO, going for the proxy factory and proxy starport as well into a proxy 1-1. Let's go. Let's go. Because I'm sure even Turbo Quacker remembers we used to cast like Sentimiento Latino, Batalla de las Américas. We used to always cover Latin American tournaments back in the day. Many years ago at this point. That's where we started, man. That's where we started. As this is going to be the Hellion drop. Okay, it's going to be a Hellion drop here by LucianO. The Adept does get into the main. That should not have happened. That should not have happened. Does get into main base. He searches, he looks, and he sees. He's like, hold up. Where's your racks? Where's your factory? Where's your starport? Where's your CC? Where's your anything? Nothing is here. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. And Mute, he's piecing it all together. Meanwhile, we here do have the Hellion drop into the main. 3 Hellions, they one-shot probes. Do one shot, and so far damage is being done. Oh my god, they're getting roasted. Yeah, probes are lining up, and so far this is becoming critical damage. This is how many kills so far? 15 kills. Oh my god. Stalkers, they poke in, they shut down the medevac. It's going to be a one-way trip, and Mute, he will defend. He will clean this up, but alas, that's going to be 17 kills here. LucianO, he pops off, gets 17 workers. He's floating back home. He is expanding. He is floating back. I like how he's still making use of the proxy, by the way. He is going for a few. He's going BC. Hellion drop into BC. He's crazy. Unfortunately, he's going to be found. Yeah, he's going to be found out. Mute, as a reminder, he knows that there must be a proxy because he saw the main base was empty, and he will find the starport. Yeah, we'll find the starport. LucianO, he had a great start, but this is maybe one step too far. Going into BCs, it's one step too far here. Being very greedy. You can see he's revealing Banshee by showing the research. And yeah, in the end, there is no BC. It's going to be shut down. And this fusion core was a waste. The fusion core, it's not going to come into play. More racks is being thrown down. Getting into his buyer. Meanwhile, as we're getting into game one, a big shout to Flipper Flapjack. Papi God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Flipper Flapjack, for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great time. And welcome one and all to the HSL, to the Hispanic Star League. We are here in Group D. We're covering the final best of 3 of the group of the series. Oh my god. And again, LucianO, he popped off. He killed over 15 probes across the map, but the CC is going to be delayed. It's going to be denied. Yeah, the natural base is going to be denied. Mute pushing forward, busting into the main base. Again, there's no tank behind this. Tank just began. The tank did just begin here. There's no upgrades, no stim. Both depots go down. Nice damage here by Mute. It's a couple of depots. Does pull away. Not losing a single stalker. So it's been an intense back and forth. What's crazy, even though LucianO killed 17 probes across the map, Mute, he's still up in workers. He does take another expansion. LucianO, he tried to go proxy BC. He was denied. He just keeps trying to go proxy BC. Like, it's this is not the first time in today's broadcast. He just keeps wanting to make battle cruisers. He's crazy. It's crazy. As LucianO, he does punish. Gets a stalker. Gets one. Get one. Mute, he pulls away. Again, just still containing his opponent. LucianO, he scans. He sees that there is a third expansion on the way. And the pressure's on. He has to do something about it. He has to break out. He's trying to break out, but he leaves out so many Marines in the process. He wants the stalkers. He's not going to get them. GG gets called. No shot. And Mute, he will take a lead in the series. GG. Ay, ay, ay. Again, LucianO, he had such a good start. He had such a strong start here. Again, LucianO, he killed 17 probes with the Hellion job. It was crazy how much damage he dealt. And then, as we mentioned, he did take it one step too far. He went Hellion, if you missed it, he went Hellion drop. He killed 17 workers. Then he threw down a fusion core into BC. The proxy got scouted, the BCs were denied, and he fell behind, right? He had no follow-up. He had vanilla Marines. He had no bunkers back at home. He was torn apart. GG. GG, well played. Mute does take game number 1. Mute does take a lead. Just catching up in the chat. A big shout to Turbo Quacker. God, Papi God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for gifting a sub to the community, gifting a sub to Methlin. Thank you so much for the support. I do appreciate it. And again, a big shout to Flipper Flatjack as well. Again, hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great time, whether it was playing StarCraft or even laddering or playing something else. Hope you had a great time nonetheless. Back in the day, yes, back in the day. So jumping into game 2. For those that are just tuning in, welcome one and all to the HSL, to the Hispanic Star League. This is essentially GSL for the Spanish-speaking community, and again, the reason why I say Spanish-speaking is because this is Latino America, and it is also Spain as well. Brazil is excluded from this, so no Brazil, no Portugal either, so specifically Spanish-speaking when it comes to this league. And here we go, we're jumping into our next game. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the red Protoss player. We have the red Protoss from the land of Peru, the Peruano himself. Representing Bing Bong Exports, leading the series 1-0, it is Mute. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Chilean Terran player, the blue Terran. It is LucianO. We go. SC2 and music videos as always. I see. Good old SC2. It really can't be beat. It can't. It's hard. It's hard to replace. Hard to substitute. I hope you had a good time. Whew. As we do settle in, and we have yet to really experience any kind of even mid game here in our TVPs. Bombilla, he went for non-stop all-ins, and so far LucianO has been quite cheesy as well. Do we finally get to embrace a proper 3-way setup? Do we get there? What is the plan for LucianO? For now, single gas opener means a ranks into an expansion, so economic start out of LucianO does bode well. Mute's being as annoying as possible. Is zoned away. Now we can settle in. Mute going for his own opener. Gate into Cybercore into expansion. Standard opener here out of Mute. Nothing crazy. Our eyes are going to be on LucianO. Now, LucianO, he has attempted to go BCs multiple times tonight. He tried to go BC against Bombilla. He tried to go BC against Mute in game 1. Does he keep going? Does he keep trying? Do we open up 1-1-1 into a fusion core? No shot. Not 2 games in a row. Maybe in game 3, like potentially, but in game 2, I mean, it is LucianO. It's possible. He's crazy like that. Reaper dips in. Gonna be a Twilight Council opener here out of Mute. LucianO, he does scout, does confirm.
Add-on constructed.
Oh, he's got Abathur. Let's go. I don't really hear much Abathur when it comes to our players' announcers, but his voice is so deep. Damn. He's got that reverb. Meanwhile, back at home, 1-1-1. Going for a starport follow-up. Adept does shade into the main base once again, gets a full scout, and this time Muti confirms that this time there are buildings in the main. There are buildings in the main. There is no proxy. Starport is revealed. Ooh, and the Adept kills everything. Gets the Marine, gets the Hellion. Oof. This should not have happened, so very valuable trade here for the Adept. Getting an SCV as well. Finally goes down, but he got a full scout, kills a Marine, kills a Hellion, and an SCV. So nice value there for Mute. Behind this, being safe, throwing down extra gateways. Getting into his 2-gate blink setup. And we'll see if he throws down extra gates. Oh, hello. As we are going to be opening up with our drop. Going to be the initial Marine drop. Early tank production out of LucianO. Curious to see if he does move out. Is he waiting for his tank? He might be. If so, LucianO, he's gonna commit here. Yeah, he's waiting for the tank. Okay. So LucianO going for a tank drop. Likewise, 2 more gates in production. It's gonna be 4-gate blink. Oh. 4-gate blink Stalker out of Mute. Hyper aggression here from the Protoss player. He's gonna have extra Stalkers, gonna have mass blink Stalkers, and he's going to shut this down. He's going to shut this down and then counterattack. And LucianO, he can't afford to lose this tank this early on. He doesn't know what he's walking into. Yeah, LucianO, he doesn't know. He doesn't know, he doesn't see. Ideally, against 4-gate blink, you want to take a defensive stance. You want to be walling up back at home, sieging up, throwing down bunkers, getting better Sim City. You don't want to be on the map like this. Otherwise, things are going to escalate real fast and real quick. Yeah, Stalkers, they move out. Blink is now done. He dives on the medevac. Medevac goes down. Once again, a brutal dive here from Mute, but nice pick up micro. That's a crazy blink, a crazy dive. But it also means that this army is stranded. Tank will siege. And we've seen some crazy... We've seen some patience level blinks out of Mute here tonight. Like, he sees tanks and he blinks in. Once again, dives in. We'll bring down the tank. Does bring it down. Nice blink control here as well with the medevac, with the prism. And blinks once again, goes for the tank. Does barely not shut it down. Whew. A very scrappy fight, scrappy engage. Mute trying to catch reinforcements. Turns back around. And he will settle this around. Coming in from the front, coming in from behind. Goes to the dive. Oh, does miss the first volley. That's a brutal trade here for Mute. Again, not the cleanest fight here, not the cleanest cleanup. He will shut down the army. And back at home, LucianO, he has 1 tank. He has 1 tank to defend. Second tank will pop out in time. Mute, he lost how many? 10 Stalkers went down. Again, this was a brutal trade here. Maybe the best that LucianO could have hoped for. But both of his tanks are in the main base. He's not protecting his natural. His natural is exposed. And Mute is going for it. Going for the natural base. Bunker halfway done. Oh, Reaper is in the main, gets 2 probe kills. Not bad. 2 workers. Mute pulls away, reinforces. Bunker may barely complete, but the Immortal is here. It has arrived. He's here for the bunker. And it is going to go down. Yeah, natural is evacuated. LucianO, there's no holding onto the natural. Again, he wasn't set up for this. He was just overly aggressive. He didn't know what he was moving into. Didn't know that Mute was going 4 gates. And LucianO is contained on 1 base. It's contained on 1 expansion. And Mute is just chilling. Mute, he's expanding, taking his own 3rd base. Forge on the way. Gateways into a Robo, into a Bay. Into Colossus. Once again, another blink, another dive. Gets another tank. Gets one, going for the other. Both tanks go down. And he will clean this up. He will break the main base. There's barely anything left to defend. There's still one tank remaining, forcing friendly fire. Oof, we'll clean up the Stalkers. Once again, a questionable dive here from Mute, losing everything. Losing all the Stalkers. Didn't have to do this. Mute losing 24 Stalkers so far. Fun fact, Mute, like efficiency-wise, like, he has lost more gas than his opponent. And almost as many minerals. Like, the trades have not been pretty. But it's good enough. Despite not having the best trades, Mute, he's on 3 bases, and Luciano's on 1. As he's now breaking out. Once again, he trades relatively well. Oh, still bleeding out his Stalkers though, and he will lose everything here. Prism goes down, Immortal as well. And Luciano, he does double expand. He double expands, he's got 3 orbitals. Luciano, he can recover. Yes, he can try to. Mute's still just rallying across the map. Charge is not done. Luciano going for a Hellion run by. Of course, 3 Hellions, 1 Shoal Workers. And Mute, he will find this. He finds the Hellions. He did scout them earlier with his Zealots. And he shuts them down. Mute, he defends, getting his 4th expansion. Charge is now complete. And it's going to be a tough hold here for Luciano. The Zealots do a much better job at diving in and tanking shots. Luciano going for another run by. Mute's going in for the kill. He's hoping to. Oh, nice lineup. 5 probes go down. 7. Gets up to 8. And Mute commits. He just commits in. Takes down the first tank. He gets 1. He's going to get 2. It should be hit everything. Has no high ground vision, but regardless, GG gets called. He overwhelms the natural, and Mute will take a 2-0 lead. GG. GG, well played. Mute, he will take the 2-0 lead here. Again, these are best of 3s, but all 3 matches are played out. Again, Luciano, he didn't have the worst start, but unfortunately he did have a misread. As a reminder, Luciano, he scouted the Twilight Council opener, but Luciano, he never confirmed how many gateways. He never confirmed the gateway count. He was blindly going for his tank push. He ran into 4-gate blink. He lost everything. What I will say is that, again, Mute didn't have the best trades. He bled out a lot of Stalkers in the process, so it was still very back and forth. But in the end, Luciano, he was still contained on one base. He was still contained. He was still stuck on 1 base. He could not sustain himself. GG. GG, well played. With that, that leads us here into game 3. I was going to say the ace match, but into game 3. As a reminder, all 3 games are played out. This does give Luciano the opportunity to bounce back and to put a point on the board that is going to be important when it comes to the overall map score coming into the group stage. We'll see. See how this does turn out. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the blue Terran player from the land of Chile. It is Luciano. So just setting up the scores. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Peruvian Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Bing Bong Exports. It is Mute. Hello. As Luciano, this time he's committing that much harder. This time 2 SCVs move out across the map. We're going for a proxy 2 racks. This is actually going to be quite far away. This is going to be in the corner of the map instead, so very far out of the way here for Luciano. 1 racks back at home. Are we going for a proxy 1-1? Are we going for... I mean, so if you recall on Whispers of Gold, we did have a proxy factory and proxy starport from Luciano. That is true, but this is not that. This is something very different here. It is going to be 3 racks. We have that 3rd SCV. Luciano, he has the money for a Rax, which means he's intentionally not making it. Oh, no, never mind. Okay. Just delayed. So it is going to be 3 racks here. No gas. No gas. So this is 3 racks, mass marine, and he's going to pull the boys. Homeowner, is that you? Homeowner has a very similar build. I think Homeowner goes 4 racks. He goes 4 racks and then pulls the boys as well. So it's a 1 base all in. 1 base all in out of Luciano. One way or another, the series is about to end. Either he kills Mute or he dies trying. Here we go. Now, Mute, he doesn't see anything. He sees nothing. He goes for the probe scout. He sees a wall. That's all he sees. There could be a Rax. There could be a factory. There could be a CC. Or there could be nothing. Mute has no idea. Mute, he has no idea. Does open Sentry. Very cautious build here by Mute. Sentry opener, what does that mean? That means hallucination. That means he's going to be sending a hallucination across the map to confirm that there is nothing in the main. So here we go. Hallucination does move out. With this, he should be able to confirm the lack of production and should be able to confirm the lack of gases in the main as well. As long as it doesn't get denied here by the Marines. Yeah, it doesn't get that. Oh no! Yeah, he's gonna see everything. He's gonna confirm. Luciano, he tries to hide the boys being pulled, but he already saw. He already saw. It's already too late. He sees no gases in the main base, and I feel like Luciano should have committed anyway. Even if it got scouted, I mean, he's already all in. Like, there's no turning back from this. There's no macroing out of this. He's gonna fake and expand. No shot. So Luciano panicking when it comes to the execution. Bunker gets thrown down, and Luciano, he may be able to force a cancel here, but okay. He's forcing a big reaction. And Luciano, he might be able to expand. He does force a cancel at the natural. He's containing his opponents. We have a wall of shield batteries on the way. And Luciano, does he expand? Remember, he chose not to pull the boys. Yeah, gases are on the way. He's transitioning. Okay, Luciano, he's transitioning out of this. I mean, considering this response, most likely the best choice. Oh, Mute, no, he's stuck. No, Mute, he's stuck in the main. Stalker is trapped here. Which means, honestly, if the boys were pulled, I think it would have been close. I was gonna say I think Luciano could have killed his opponent, but there's a force field, right? Like, the reality here is that we could have force fielded the ramp, and a force field would have shut this down. So the force field would have been enough. Regardless, Mute, he defends on 1 base, and Luciano, he backs off, and it's time to macro out of this. Let's go. Time to macro out. Bring down more gates. And we'll see if Mute can pull off this 1 base all in, as he's now stuck on 1 base, throwing down extra gateways, getting to a 5-gate setup. So 1 base all in out of Mute is still contained. The bunker is still maintaining its position, and we have Stim on the way. Stim in production. So we have 1 base versus 1 base. I had assumed that Luciano was going to expand, but no. We're not expanding. Mute breaks out. Luciano floating back home. I'm concerned about the lack of bunkers. No bunkers here for Luciano. If he had some bunkers here, I'd be more confident in his defense. But Mute has potential. Does have potential. There's another warp in. Mute's moving forward. Does move in. Likewise picks off the Marines. Stim is still not done. No bunker. And Mute, he's just going to walk in. He's just going to overwhelm here. There's just nothing to defend. We have vanilla Marines, vanilla Marauders. No add-ons, no upgrades. Yeah, Mute, he is just going to step in. From here, the boys have to be pulled. Nice force fields. Zoning away the SCVs. And zoning away the fire. The Marines, they do nothing. Again, using the Sim City against Luciano, going for another warp in. And yeah, Mute's 1 base all in, just trumps the 1 base all in of Luciano. GG gets called, and Mute, he will take the series 3-0. The first and only 3-0 of the broadcast. GG. GG, well played. Muti will claim the series. We'll take it 3-0. Luciano had some interesting builds. Again, I appreciate the attempted BC play, and likewise I appreciate that Luciano did spice things up quite a lot. We had something very similar out of Bombilla. Bombilla was a little bit more successful though. Bombilla, he was a little more reliant on 2 base all-ins, more than 1 base all-ins, and that is where Bombilla had more success. I will say that there were definitely opportunities for Luciano, especially considering some of the decision making. I do think that some of the blinks from Mute were crazy and were hurting him more than helping him when it came to some of the dives that he had gone for. So maybe some overconfidence there out of Mute, but overall, GG. GG, well played. That leads us here into our scores, into our group. Let's go. Here we go. This was Group D, of course, and it was a spicy one as well. We almost had every series going to game 3 in a back and forth kind of like setting. We had Bombilla. Bombilla took down Tiny Hose 2-1. We had Bombilla taking down Luciano 2-1. Mute took down sorry, should fix that up actually. My apologies. Do have to fix that. But Mute took down Bombilla. I have to fix up that score line. There we go. Mute took down Bombilla 2-1, and Mute took down Luciano 3-0. So in the end, Mute will come out in first place in Group D, and Bombilla will come out in second place, as the only player that Bombilla lost to was Mute. Mute was the only player to defeat Bombilla. Luciano, I would say, had a good chance, had a good showing. Did struggle here in that TVP, but did actually have a back and forth in that TVT earlier today. Unfortunately, it's top 2. Unfortunately, only top 2 make it out of the group, so it's going to be Mute alongside the Peruvian Terran player Bombilla. Luciano will not make it out of the group. Luciano is going to be eliminated. And I want to say that that's the first big name eliminated from the group stage. Yeah, the first big name going down. I guess now that we wrap up week 1, we can go over the Wikipedia page. I think we're safe to do so. Yeah. We are going to be safe to do so. Un momento. Bam. There we go. Okay, so we do have our first 4 groups wrapping up. We have our first 4 groups wrapping up here. If you missed out on the broadcast, I do recommend checking out yesterday and the day before that's broadcast. We did cover Group A, B, C, and D already this week. Group A, we have Special and Ferris Spitter making it out. They do advance on out of Group A. It's great to see Juanito back once again. Again, he has not been competing for a very long time. The last time he really did compete was last year in EWC. Since then, Special has been very inactive, but he is back for the HSL. Likewise, we did have Galahad, Kevin, ECU, and Luna. Unfortunately, not making it out of Group A. Group B, we had Akeron. If you missed out, I do recommend again the broadcast. Akeron typically is a Terran player. I would say he is the best player from all of Spain right now, and is traditionally a Terran player, but in this group he returned as Protoss. Akeron also has been very inactive, similar to Juanito. I was afraid that Akeron had silently retired. He hasn't competed since October of last year. It has been months since Akeron has touched this game, and in his return, he returns as Protoss, not as Terran. So Akeron, he's back as Protoss. Is he going to compete in the entire tournament as Protoss? Is this the official switch from Terran to Protoss for Akeron, or is this a one-off? Yet to be determined. Right now, we're in an era of StarCraft where a lot of players are switching to Protoss, a lot of players are playing Protoss, again, for good reason. So Akeron is, I would say, actually the first to make the full switch. Right now, a lot of players are switching to Protoss just to avoid certain matchups, to avoid ZVZ or to avoid TVT. That's typically where players are mainly playing Protoss, but Akeron, he so far has made the full switch. So we'll see if that stays, we'll see if that persists. Likewise, we had Peruano making it out in second place out of Group B. It was a close back and forth between Peruano and Daryl. Likewise, shout out to Albert and Havertz for also competing from Bolivia, from Spain. Also Kevin from Colombia and Galahad from Argentina as well. Peruano is a player that I'm very unfamiliar with. To me, he's more of a ladder hero. I remember seeing Peruano on the ladder, and I had just assumed it was an alt account. I'll be honest, I assumed it was like maybe Shelby or maybe Alexander, Tiratuga. Like I was assuming it was maybe Zion's, assuming it was an alt account. But no, Peruano, he is his own individual player, right? He's his own competitor. And this is one of the first big events for Peruano. Again, typically just a ladder hero. So I'm excited to see how well Peruano will perform. More of a newer face to the scene. With a newer face. Scrolling down, we have, of course, Group C. Group C was, we casted yesterday. We had Cham and Zions as the top 2 players. Cham in first place, Zions in second. We had Boreal, of course, from Argentina. I would say he is the best, currently the best player in Argentina. Greater than Galahad, I would say. But last, oh, sorry. I believe that's Salvador. Hold on. Yeah, mixing up my flags. Oh, Guatemala. Oh, sorry. Galahad from Argentina, Boreal from Guatemala. Oh my god, my apologies, my apologies. Mixing up my flags. From Guatemala. Let's go. Didn't know, didn't realize. My mistake, my mistake. Is that correct? Hold on. I'm pretty sure Boreal, I've spoken to him before. I think he told me he was from Argentina. I might be mixing him up with another player. I'll have to double check that. We'll double check. We had Demi, we had Ares as well. I will have to fix this. Ares did not play Zerg. He did not play Zerg, he played random. So Ares was a random player instead, so we will have to fix that up. But regardless, Cham and Zions do make it out as the top 2 players in the group. Meanwhile, scrolling over, we have a Group D. We have the group that we just wrapped up. Mute and Bombilla coming out first and second. Luciano barely not making it out. Then we had Tiny Host, and then we had Lillian Luna as well towards the bottom half of the bracket. Again, these are round robin. A lot of matches are played. Because there are so matches played, that is the reason why we are only covering the highlights of the group. I would love to cast everything, but especially because of how busy our schedule is, I don't want to like jam pack it too much. I want to keep things a little bit leaner while I can. So just covering the highlights here of the group stage. Otherwise, it's just a lot of games. It's round robin, so it's just a lot of games, a lot of matches, a lot of matchups there. So just for the sake of brevity, we only cover the highlights. But you can see those matches. Can see those series. Light not covering every 3-0. SMH my head. True, true. Yeah, only covering the highlights here for the group stage. I do plan on covering everything for the playoffs, but here for the group stage, just a couple of matches here and there. Not everything, not everything. Do apologize, do apologize. Not everything. Just catching up with the chat. Great scouting and strong play from Mute there. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Very nice scouting in the entire series. But that wraps up our first week of the group stage. We have more groups to come. I don't know if you noticed there, but the other groups have yet to conclude. They haven't finished yet. Basically, the way this works here is that players, they play out their matches ahead of time, and then they submit their replays to the admins, and then it is updated here on Wikipedia. We are still missing matches and missing replays from the second half of the group stage. So over the next couple of days, I'm sure they are going to wrap up. They're going to be collected, and next week we're going to be going over the rest of that group stage and wrapping up the rest of the tournament. The playoffs are going to be casted live. The groups are covered by replays, but the playoffs will be live, and currently the playoffs are scheduled for April. I think the second week? Yeah, the second week of April. The weekend of the 12th. The weekend of the 12th is when the playoffs are going to be held. So we do have still a couple of weeks to wrap up the groups, to wrap up the group stage and to wrap up those matches. In the upcoming groups, we're going to be featuring players like Eggs, El Huevito, going to be featuring Vortex, of course, Lucifer's brother. Vortex, he is a legend in StarCraft. I look forward to seeing him again. Draconix, Ryojin, Davito, Neo as well as Eon. Eon also going to be featured. So plenty of amazing players are on the horizon. Going to be covering all of them here on the CranKy Ducklings. Look forward to it. Do look forward to it. Otherwise, we are going to be wrapping up. We're going to be wrapping up here for the time being. So just catching up here with our setup. We're going to be wrapping up for the time being. We're going to be live once again, though, in a couple of hours with the podcast. The podcast is going to be in 7 hours. In 7 hours' time, we're going to be live with the podcast, so do tune in, do check that out. It's going to be amazing, going to be beautiful. We're going to be catching up with the news of the week. Actually, I can just show you here. Bam, the weekly schedule. So we just wrapped up on Friday with the HSL. We have the podcast this evening. We have KSL tomorrow, MSO, and a very busy Sunday as well. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft throughout the week here. Again, we are live on a daily basis, casting StarCraft on the CranKy Ducklings, live multiple times a day, every single day. So plenty of content, plenty of casting to go on. And again, the podcast is our weekly talk show where we go over all the news of the week. This week we are going to be going over the latest GLHF interview. What else is on the agenda? Hold on. Let's see. We have the GLHF interview. Oh, right, true. We have the Beyond documentary. I have to catch up on that. We have the Beyond documentary. We have Shopify. They did just have their show match in StarCraft Evolution. What else do we have? We have other Open Cups as well. We're going to be catching up with the Hispanic Star League, Amantes, the 3D Clan events, alongside all the other Open Cups. Likewise, you have to catch up on the the Pigsty Festival. True. Pigsty Festival, Rex March Madness. Wardy TV, he's going to be hosting a Boomer Bash, so we're going to be catching up on that. And of course, the Stara Zagora qualifier. So there's plenty to go over here throughout the week. So we'll be catching up on that over the weekend. Sorry, this evening here in 7 hours time. Otherwise, I'm gonna go make some. I'm gonna go make some overlays. Gonna go make some graphics. I got a lot of work to do. Regardless, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great time here with the CranKy Ducklings, and we'll see you guys next time. If you want to watch some more CranKy Duckling action, check out our socials, !socials in the chat. You can check out our YouTube channel. We do upload on YouTube on a daily basis, so plenty of content on YouTube. If you cannot watch us live, then check us out on YouTube. I do see in the chat someone asking, where do you live? Australia, Papi, Australia. Live in Australia. From Peru, kind of. But yeah, you can check us out on YouTube. Likewise, we stream on TikTok, we stream on Kick, we stream on Facebook as well. We stream on all the platforms, but YouTube is the place to be for VOD content. Also, if you want to help support us, Patreon, !Patreon in the chat. Thank you so much to all of our patrons. Thank you so much to all of our supporters. Again, it's thanks to all support that we're able to host our events on a regular basis and that we're able to boost the prize pool. We recently reached our latest goal on Patreon. We now have a boosted prize pool for STC, SDO, and MSO. All of our events now have, again, a boosted prize pool coming into April, and our next goal is to boost the prize pool even further of our Open Cup of Sparkling Tuna Cup, our weekly tournament. So that's going to be the next event to get an even more increased prize pool with that next goal. So thank you so much to all of our supporters. We appreciate it. We do appreciate all the support in the chat. Thank you so much, whether it's through Patreon, whether it's through subscribing, whether it's through just watching. Thank you so much. Otherwise, we're wrapping up, and we will see you guys next time. We'll see you guys tomorrow or later on tonight. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Who is live at the moment? Who can we raid? I do see El Chanchito. I see Pig is live. Who else is live? I see Snake Styles. Enki is doing a rebroadcast. What else? Zombie Grub is playing team games. Let's go. I don't often see Zombie Grub streaming. We could raid Zombie Grub. We could raid. I see Patty is streaming. Davito. Davito would be very in theme. True. We could raid him again. Yeah. We'll raid Davito. Davito. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego. See you next time.